Yo,
Uh,
we're
uh,
live.
with the countdown, yeah,
The
man.
count we didn't do the countdown clock because we didn't want y'all to have to wait an extra 30 seconds. So we want to jump straight into it because we started a couple minutes late because I had to fix my hair.
Yeah, I like your
So
shirt.
we'll see. What you don't know is what
That's what I'm saying. I
what
seen it popping out.
what. Yeah, we can't be hiding that. We got to be showing it a little bit, But this is funny because when I graduated college, I bought this suit. It was like one of those 2-for-1 deals.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, one day I'm going to need to wear this thing. And it was way big when I graduated. It was like, I'm never going to fit in this thing. And now it's like, it's not way big anymore.
That's how it
Anyway, Rob, we got an exciting show tonight. This is a highly requested guest to have on the show.
Right. I mean, we're checking off all the biggest YouTube celebrities. Steve Mead, we're still coming for you, bro. One day we'll talk you into it.
Yes, we are. But for today, we got Mr. Jonathan Price. And John, I'm going to bring you in to the stream so everybody can see. Yo, Grub, what's going on, brother? He's over there filling out orders
He's
and
making
shipping
deals right
amps.
now. Making deals right now, live.
Sorry. What's up, guys? Appreciate y'all having me on. It's definitely a pleasure to join you guys here.
Thanks again for joining us, man. I know you just got in a load of amps today. You've been just rolling out all kind of equipment all the time. And for you guys, you and Scotty and some of these guys who are just super busy all the time, we really appreciate y'all taking, some time out of your schedule to join us and talk to the peeps. Because, I think in some ways the peeps see you in kind of maybe a couple different lights, and we want to see the real JP tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to let you get into the real deal.
It's happening right now because you bringing up me getting the load of amps made me realize I was back there shipping a ton of stuff. They had me actually like doing the labels and everything while they were packing everything to try to get all the amps out. And I just realized that I forgot to make your label for your stuff. So I'm like, crap, let me send them a message so they can get it done real quick. And JP84. Sorry for the little delay.
It's all
the real
good,
JP
man.
stood up. The real JP stood up. He's here. making stuff happen.
Yeah, it's all good. So we'll talk a little bit as you're filling out the form there, and
Okay.
just kind of give people some background. I'm sure you require no introduction, but Jonathan Price is Down4Sound. I started following JP probably, it's been 6 or 7 years ago, back when he used to sell stuff out of his house, and he was showing off his work truck and putting systems in there and installing stuff himself. And that's kind of when I started following JP, and just saw, just kind of your following explode over the years. And it's been a fun ride. I enjoy just as much myself as making content as I do seeing people like you and EXO and Steve Mead and everybody else, make videos and make content and do well. So, I think it's fun to see the ride. Some people grow a lot faster, like you have really blown up, not only on the social media side, but also obviously on the car audio sales side.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, just so you know, the video that I made where I was saying you're the smartest man in car audio, that was one of your little tricks there of doing the shade where, it was really just, I was actually being honest because I think what you're doing and the things that you're doing are super smart. And I do appreciate you implementing the
Whoa, nice.
the phone holder.
Failure.
No, implementing the affiliate stuff on your site. That's really cool for those of us who want to, send people your way. And that helps us as YouTubers to be able to kind of help facilitate some of our stuff. But I've been talking enough, and Soundman's up in the house.
I see you.
What's up, Doug? So I'm sorry I'm rambling so much, but I just want to go ahead and get started with the questions. We got a few, and I know you've got some things you want to talk about. So about your history, what year or so do you remember when you first got into car audio, and do you remember who introduced you to car audio?
My very first, I guess, are you talking about like what hooked me on car audio at the very beginning?
Yeah, something that grabbed you that made you think, man, I want to get into this. I want to start, installing or doing stuff.
Yeah. So initially, I think I was probably 12 or 13 or something. I was riding with my mom and her van at the time, and we come up to a red light, and this guy pulls beside us, and he's like basing out, and I'm like, what is that noise? Like, I've never heard it before, so I don't know what's going on. Like, what is that? And I'm like intrigued by it. And anyway, I see the dude's truck, and it's like stuck in my head on what the truck is. I didn't know who it was or anything like that. So back in the day, we could get what was called a hardship license in Mississippi. So you could actually get your a hardship license at 14, I think, but you could only drive between the hours of, I think, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something like that. It was just to go to work. I mean, my dad was sending me to work. Funny story, my very first job was chopping cotton. Nobody believes this, but that was my very first job, was chopping cotton at a place called Delta Pineland in Mississippi. So I got my hardship license, and I was using my dad's truck to go back and forth to work because he works on the river. Well, he used to. So, but he's gone. Well, he used to be gone for 30 days at a time. They do like 30 days on, 30 days off. And when he was on the boat, I would be using his truck to go back and forth to Delta Pine. So one day I'm coming home from work, and the guy pulls up beside me. And I hear it again. I'm like, dude, it's 2 years later. What is this? I kind of want to follow him to the gas station or see where he pulls off so I can see what it is. But that's kind of creepy because I'm like following some dude that has no idea who I am. So anyway, he pulls it to the gas station. I pull in beside him, and I'm like, man, I'm not trying to be weird or whatever, but what is that? Like, what do you have in there? He's like, oh, there's some subwoofers. I'm like, what is a subwoofer? So he like opens up his truck, and he had, I don't know, it was like two of the, come to find out, he was one of the, I think his parents owned the car audio shop in Greenville, Mississippi at the time, and they're still in the business. I think it's changed hands a couple of times, but the establishment is still there. It's called Cartoons in Greenville, Mississippi. So, and they've gotten a bunch of recognition, like mobile electronics awards and stuff actually here recently. So shout out to them for doing a great job for a very long time. But so he told me, or he showed me what he had, and it was a really nice install because obviously it was kind of like a demo vehicle for their shop. And I was like, can I hear it? And he's like, yeah. So I got in the passenger seat, and he turned it up, and I was just like hooked. I'm like, that's the coolest thing. Like, his roof was rippling and stuff on his truck. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that's what kind of hooked me on car audio. I did go so after that I got a little system. Well, it was the loudest in town. I had like two Memphis Mojo 15s and at the time this was my biggest system, two Memphis Mojo 15s. I put it in the back seat of my Chevy truck with the subs and ports firing up, and then I had a Crossfire. I saved up forever to get a Crossfire. I think it was like a VX 4000 or VF 4000 or something like that. I kept blowing it because I didn't have good electrical. Like it was a disaster. But anyway, when I did finally get enough battery power to run it, it was banging pretty nice back then for sure. I was the loudest in town. So that's what hooked me on car audio and kind of planted the seed. After that, I went to college, and I kind of sold my stuff and like got out of it for a while. And I was always kind of interested in it, but nothing really. I didn't have a system in any of my vehicles. It was just maybe a head unit and some door speakers, no subs or anything. I just got out of it for a while. And then I think I was watching some of Mead's videos or something. And I'm like, man, it's still cool to me. Like that's awesome. Like what he's doing. And he's the grandfather on YouTube. He's been there since day one. He's the OG for sure. And, so I'm like, okay, I want to start doing a system again. That's how the whole Tahoe thing started. Like, I need to get a Tahoe because they can get loud, and there's a lot of stuff you can get for them. So that started about 10 or 12 years ago. On kind of like my rebirth of getting back into car audio.
So it's Mead's fault that everyone has to get a Tahoe.
Right.
He started it. It's like, if you're going to get loud, you have to get a Tahoe. It's just part of the car audio lexicon. It has to be done.
Right. Yeah, it is a very popular vehicle, and people ask me that all the time. Like, what do you recommend for a vehicle if you're going to do a build in it? I'm like, any type of GM vehicle, because there's so many alternator brackets. Like, it's just the norm when it comes to a vehicle. A lot of people want to try to get some different SUV, and then they're like, oh, can you give me a bracket for it? No. So you can't upgrade your electrical because, and that's your biggest problem. Like you can't run a massive system with a single alternator. Like it's just not going to work properly. So they're bottlenecked right from the get go if they try to go with a different vehicle. I know we offer some brackets for like a couple of different vehicles, but it's not nowhere near as extensive as a GM vehicle. You can get quad kits for almost any full-size GM vehicle. If you try to get a quad kit for like a Dodge or a Ford or something like that, I don't even know of them. We offer like a couple of like a dual alt kit, but like quad kits are like, I have a 5 alternator kit on my Tahoe, and so it's just not, the parts just aren't really available for all the other brands.
Man, so you're obviously SPL guy. Have you ever like flirted with sound quality, or has it always just been about the bass?
No, I have a huge respect for sound quality people, actually, and I really appreciate what they do, and I love listening to it. And I've been literally like all over the world for car audio, and I've listened to so many different vehicles. I mean, when I went to Russia, they have a few different high-end sound quality vehicles, and I really appreciate, so I appreciate all of them. I've listened to a ton of the like award-winning or #1 championship sound quality guys in the United States setups as well. So I really appreciate what they do and have a lot of respect for them. So I do enjoy listening to sound quality stuff too.
Well, I think a lot of the sound quality guys, they kind of want to throw shade on the SPL guys, but they don't realize how hard it is to get legitimately loud. It's not, it's science. Like you're not just doing a little bit of this and it's loud. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of homework for sure. And I know that brings up like some of people's biggest things that they like to talk about to me or hate on or whatever, is like me not doing my own install. As I've gotten older and realized you really need to double and triple down on what you're good at and pay other people for what they're great at. And so like when somebody says, oh, you don't even build your own stuff, it's funny because in a way, there some people that say this even have a shop or they're an installer. And I'm like, you understand, you're like kicking yourself in the nuts. Like you hate me because I pay you to do an install, or pay somebody else. It's not you, but you're that person that I'm like supporting through paying you to do my install. But they just, I think it's just it's either the insta hate for JP. Like some people just see me and can't stand me from the get-go, or they read something about me online or whatever, and they can't stand me from the get-go. So they just can't get over that. And I don't know, it kind of plagues them. But I mean, I just keep doing my thing and having a good time. And I like supporting the industry and paying people. Anytime I look for somebody to do my install or whatever, I'm like, even JT, the last guy that did my install, I was like, I don't want a homie hookup or like anything like that. I'll pay you your price. Just let me know what it is. So, because man, some of the, I don't know, if it may be one of my frustrating things is people like, I mean, every day grown men like begging me for car audio. And I'm like, this is not a necessity. Like you're talking about how broke you are and like how bad your life is, and you're worried about getting a system. And I know some people will say, oh, you're saying this and it's going to cost you some sales. Being ethical about your like business and telling people the correct things is a good thing in my opinion. So it's crazy to hear guys saying this. I'm like, take care of your family, man. Like, it's way more important than some speakers, but I guess they get so wrapped up in the systems are so cool and everything. I got to have one, and it somehow passes their babies getting diapers and stuff. So I don't know how, like, but it happens almost every day, and it's like, it's frustrating to me. People like grown men out here like begging for stuff. I'm like, man, come on, get out there, work for it. Like I've worked for everything I have. Like everything that you see me doing, like it's a product of me showing up, being consistent, outworking everybody that I know of. I don't know of anybody else in the car audio space that's waking up at 3:45 every morning and going till 9 or 10 at night. Like, I just get after it, and I enjoy doing it. It's not like me trying to prove anything. It's really me. I want to see like what I can push this thing to. I want to like, some people are okay once they get to like right here. I'm like, man, I want to blow the top off of this thing. And like the further I go, like I learn a lot, and I've matured a lot as I've been going in this business for a while. And when it started out, it was a lot of me. Like, I want to do all the work. I want to do all the shipping, like the reordering of product. Nobody's going to care about my business as much as I do. I just all me, and I want to make all the money. And as time went on, and I realized I was working literally 100, 120 hours a week easily, I'm like, what am I doing this for? Like, it's if you are costing yourself all of your time, like no time with your family or anything like that. And Scotty, I don't know, just Scotty Johnson and Jacob Fuller and Nicholas Wright and all these guys are mentors of mine. Scotty, like, really, he's been there since day one, and he kind of opened my eyes to it. He's like, man, you got to get some help. And at first I was like, no, I don't need any help. I want to do everything myself. And the longer he planted that seed in my head, the longer it sat there, it started growing. And I was like, okay, I need to get some help. So I started getting like one person, two people, three people, and like anything that I could see that was costing me a bunch of time or energy. I was trying to find. Now I try to find somebody for that, and also finding people that are great at what they're doing. Like Big D, he's great at doing reviews, and like I have a high respect for him, and clearly a bunch of other people do. So, and I'd been wanting for probably a couple of years to do the affiliate thing. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So luckily, Jacob, my SEO guy and social media guy, he helped me with that. So that's how we got that rolled out. And now, like, we have I don't know, probably about 10, but definitely Big D is crushing it on there. So I always look forward to sending him out his grants.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys did that. And you know, it for me and Rob that talk about this a lot, it's really a kind of turning point in the industry, because over the years people have been accustomed to doing the straight dealer network, you know, go to your local dealer, do this. Well, now Down4Sound is an online dealer for a lot of companies exclusively, and you're the biggest one for a lot of the ones that you carry, if not all of them. And I know I did a video on a Crossfire amp, and at the time I did the video, I'm like, you can't even buy this amp online. And then like a month later, JP's got it on his website, and I'm like, there you go. The man is smart. That's why I made the video. And you know, just moving forward and thinking about the eyeballs that are not only on your website and on your social media, but they're on everybody else's that's in the industry. That's what's going to funnel, you know, the traffic. And these other people that are sitting back and trying to figure out how to mold their old business model to fit now and into the future, I think they're behind you. You guys are crushing it, and you're just kind of setting the pace for how things are going to go moving forward, I believe. And even though I'm an older dude, I'm in my 40s, you know, you're a younger guy and you're doing it right. And listening to Scotty is smart. Obviously, he's very successful. He's a great mentor to have, and just a good guy. I mean, we had Scotty on here before, and as busy as he is, he took time out of his schedule to join us. And you know, we're just little peons here. We're just trying to help the industry and get information out there and talk with the people who are really important. So we do appreciate you guys, you know, taking time out of your schedule to join us. But and going back to what you said about having other people do stuff, I do the same thing. I have people mow my lawn so I can have more time to work on videos. Can I mow my lawn? Yes, I can go out there and mow it, but that takes an hour and a half away from me working on a video. So then, just like you said, you have to calculate your time. What's your time worth? Where do you need to invest your time? And a lot of people who get upset that I don't mow my own lawn, or I don't, you know, do my own installs just like you, it's like, no, I put my time and effort in things that we need to. And that's how you become successful. I think I'm trying not to ramble on too much here because I won't let you talk. But the videos that you post, and especially the one where you talked about the creation of Down4Sound, how you you know, started out of your house, you had stock up in your your attic space, and you're having to climb up a ladder and carry the big subs up there and everything. People need to go back and listen to that and realize that, you're not just big now because you got big. It was a work in process, a work in progress, and it took a lot of effort to get where you're at. And I think people tend to miss that part. So when you posted that video, that's why I shared it a couple of times. And I'm like, guys, you need to watch this and listen, because it really tells your story. It shows how true you are in there, even though you're a marketing genius and you post all this stuff all the time. And some people get mad, oh, he's posting too much Down4Sound. Well, that's part of you building your brand, but also the fact that you were building it up, start to finish, and you've just done a great job. It's something that doesn't need to be held lightly. So I think people do need to check that out. But I'm sorry I keep talking. So I do want to go back a little bit to the YouTube channel. And when you started, did you have any kind of goal in mind that, hey, I want to start doing this and make it big in car audio? The name, the Life of Price is just awesome, obviously, because it's the way it connotates different meanings. But so what was the idea behind starting the YouTube channel?
So I actually had a everybody's bringing up signing stuff now. I'm used to it now. It doesn't even faze me anymore. That's probably brought me more attention. Well, one of the things that's brought me a ton of attention in business. So every time somebody starts crying about the signature thing, it's funny, because they can't comprehend how much they're helping me, like how much their publicity they're getting me. And maybe they'll get one person to hate me, but there's 20 people that find out about me because they posted something hating on me. So now I gained 5 more customers or something, just because they're like, JP sucks, like, or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, it goes back to your time, right? If people want you to sign it, then it takes time out of your schedule. They don't have to choose that option when they buy stuff. They don't have to. It's an option. It's not a requirement.
100%. And the funniest thing is, the only people that have problems with me charging for the signature is people that will never get it anyway. They're never going to buy from me. They're always going to be a Down4Sound or a JP hater. So anybody that does it, they understand that we have to stop everything we're doing to completely unbox this subwoofer, put it out on the table, me sign it, and then box it back up. So that's me paying somebody to do that, me coming away from whatever I'm doing in my desk. Like, it just comes down to the time thing. But again, like, any of my supporters, the ones that actually request it, I've never had anybody like complain about it or anything, because I think, one, it's almost like you get free shipping on orders over $100 anyway. So I think some of them may be like, oh, it's almost like helping on shipping or chipping in something, a little tip or whatever. I appreciate some people will comment on there. I really enjoy your videos or whatever, how to get a signature person to support you or whatever. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons people do it. So anyway, it is what it is. I just keep doing my thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. They're in cardio. There's a lot of hate in cardio. It's like, we could focus this energy and we could be huge again. Cardio could be, great again, so to speak, if we weren't at each other's throats, fighting over this and that. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. And when we started 12 Talk, that was the whole point, because YouTube channels were all silos and nobody was talking to each other. And we thought, hey, let's bring it together, try to make it a community, and weed out the bad actors and the people that only bring negativity.
Right. And sorry, I didn't answer your question on what started the YouTube channel. Like, I saw some people hating. It always makes me laugh. But anyway, so I actually had, back in the SMD days, when I was getting started, I was on Steve's forum or whatever, and like soaking up all the information I could and just bounced around on there. And I actually started a YouTube channel. It's still on there. It's called Bagged Z71, BAGGED Z71. Because when I was in college, I had that Chevy. Well, I had the Chevy truck for a while, but it was a Chevy Z71. I went to Nashville Auto Diesel College to do. I thought I wanted to be a painter. I had a love for like restoring, and I wanted to be a painter. So I was actually working. When I was in high school, I was going to vocational classes. I don't know if they still have those or not, but they called it Votech, and I think it was a couple hours a day, like a few days a week or whatever. We would get on a bus and go to a different, like to the Votech, and we would go there and kind of learn the trade of like sanding and priming and doing all this stuff, doing body work and everything. And a little bit after that, I got a job at a body shop right across the street. So I was working there, and I'm like, I really like doing this. I'm like, I want to be a painter, and I'm like, where can I go? So somebody tells me about Nashville Diesel College, and the the funny thing is now, like a couple of the guys at the body shop, they're like, man, you give me $5,000, I'll teach you everything you want to know about body work, frame straightening, painting, everything. And I'm like, man, you don't know, like I got to go to college to get a degree. Like we have to have this piece of paper to show our status. And he was right. It made a big debt snowball in my life for a very long time. Made me very salty about the whole thing. It took me like a very long time to pay off the debt. It took me getting really pissed off at it to start focusing, paying all the money on it as I could. I mean, I was living with my parents. I was eating their food or mac and cheese or ramen noodles or whatever it was to keep my expenses very low so I could just knock down this college debt, because it was just crushing my soul more than anything. So anyway, I know I went off the rails on that one, but so I got that channel going, and not that long after it, I was posting like some car audio videos and on there and stuff, and somebody ended up hacking the channel and like deleted all the videos and everything like that. That's before like two-factor authentication and all this stuff like has come out and all these different things. So I think I'd had like 50,000 subscribers or something. So I mean, yeah, I'm like, this clearly isn't my thing. It's not for me. Like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I wasted so much time on making all these videos and like going to all these shows to get all the content and everything, and just to get a just to get it wiped off, pretty much. Like you invest all this time and energy. I mean, y'all know, like Big D, you do these videos, and if one day you just woke up and it was gone, you're like, what? So anyway, that after that got deleted, I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. It was a big waste of my time. And after a while, probably like 6 or 8 months went by, and people were talking, like asking on the forums, like, hey man, you need to start doing your videos again. And the more it just kept growing and growing, and Facebook was becoming popular, and they were asking on there, like, when are you gonna make some more videos? I'm like, I'm not doing it, because like somebody's just gonna wipe it out again, or whatever. Like, I don't want to do it. So I kept putting it off. And then one day I was at a show, and somebody's like, man, you should do another video. I remember the last one I did with you. It was a lot of fun, and it got good reactions and stuff. I'm like, I guess I'll like make one. We're going to spring break nationals or whatever. So I'll put together a little YouTube teaser or whatever. So I decided, I'm trying to come up with the name of it. I'm like, what do I name this? Like, because I know I'm not going to have I know it's not just going to be car audio. Like, I might do a video of me riding a four-wheeler, jumping out of an airplane, going on a cruise, whatever. But I know it'll be a majority of like car audio things and car show things, but I know it's going to be more than that. So I'm like, the life of Price. So I ended up doing, that's how I came up with the name. I'm like, what's something that I can just embody everything that I do? And that's what I came up with. That's how I came up with the name. It wasn't anything. Now people talk about, it's like, oh, it's about this, it has a money play and like this and that or whatever. But it, from the start, it wasn't anything like that, because I was broke as hell when I first started this thing. Like, it was a big different ballpark at that time. So anyway, that's how that first channel got started, and now how I started my second channel.
Yeah, and you grew pretty fast. I remember you hitting like 100,000 subscribers. It didn't sound like it was all that long, and you just kind of blew up. And then I guess you kind of got the bug for selling car audio. What maybe got you in the mindset that, hey, I can sell this stuff, I can be a reseller, I can make money? What got you into that as opposed to just making videos and showing stuff off and whatever? What was the idea behind that?
Um, Trying to choose my words. So a lot of people want the fame more than the fortune, in my opinion. They care so much about people liking them and being cool on the internet and like wanting this huge following. But I've always been like, for what? Like, what do you? Why? What's your end goal with that? But a lot of people, their focus is very dim. Like it's not a broad focus. They don't think past, oh, I just need to get a big following for what? Like just so you can say you're cool on the internet. So my thing was, how can I uh, make myself a better person? Like work on my retirement and all this stuff. So I knew like I had to put in the work, but it started with, so there's two different things. I was going to car shows all the time anyway, and people, the more I went to car shows and the more people, my YouTube channel after I restarted, it started growing again pretty rapidly because a lot of the initial subscribers like transferred over to the new channel. So I was going to all these shows and a lot of people would see me there and like, man, like how can I support you? Like, do you have anything that I can buy or something? I'm like, no. Like, so after I would leave them shows and it would be in my head the whole way home, like what can I come up with or whatever. So most of them were asking for t-shirts or stickers or lanyards, just like little merchandise type things like that. So I'm like, okay, I need to look into getting some shirts made. And I won't ever forget it. I went to the shirt shop in town or something like that. I'm like, hey, I want to get some Down4Sound shirts made. And also, like, I had to come up with a name or whatever. That was done by like doing a little poll on Facebook, what they thought like would be a cool name for. It was just a forum at the time, like because there was a lot of forums that had a lot of hate on them. Like it probably still is, but you like a beginner couldn't even ask a question without getting torn apart by people on there. Oh, you suck, you're stupid, you don't know how to wire like a sub to 1 ohm or whatever. What an idiot. Like they can't even ask anything with people just running them through the ringer. So I'm like, I want to start a forum. So then when you checked in, it was like a set of rules there. First thing, no hating whatsoever is tolerated. If you do it, you're banned. Like so, there wasn't a warning or anything. You just get banned. So we ran that for a while, but that's how I came up with the name of Down4Sound. But as I was going to the shows and stuff like that, people were asking for the merchandise, and I went to the shop to get my first shirt order, and they're like, "Oh, there's I think like a 20 shirt minimum or something like that." I'm like, "What? How many? Like 20 shirts? That's a ton of shirts." And I'm like, "This is crazy." I don't know because at that time my thinking was very narrow and small in the grand scheme of things because I mean, if you haven't experienced these levels, it's just hard to see it. Like you just think it's this insane number or whatever. I mean, back then, if somebody said like $1 million, I'm like, what? It's not attainable. That's like fairyland stuff. But so it's just because I haven't ever seen it or been in that room or been around those type of people. So anyway, I'm like twiddling my thumbs trying to make the decision on buying the 20 shirts or whatever, and finally I end up doing it. And I'm like, I don't know what size shirts to get because who knows what the next size the person's going to be that comes to the show or whatever. And I buy the shirts or whatever, and I take them to the shows, and I sell a couple, and then like the next time I come back with some stickers and stuff. So that's kind of how the monetary thing started, but it wasn't ever to be a business. It was just to, I guess, help. Like people were wanting to support me, so I was just trying to come up with some way that they could. When they asked me, "Can I support you in some way?" I could say yes instead of like, "What do you mean? I don't know. Do you want to give me $5 for gas money or what?" So, anyway, that's how it kind of got started, and um, I was just doing it very small. I wasn't selling any equipment or anything. It was just like the shirts and stickers and stuff. And I would go to these shows, and I wasn't tracking my mileage or doing anything that actual business owners do, because you're looking for all these write-offs and everything like that you can. So I ended up going to this show in Alabama, and this lady she sees me. I meet up with a bunch of guys from Alabama. They had some group from there, and or a basehead group or chapter or whatever it was, and they were like, "Oh, let's meet at some restaurant and let's have like a little demo session or whatever, shared like sessions or whatever." I'm like, okay. At that time, I was taking. It's funny, like the contrast right now. So at that time, I was taking all my product that I had to my name and like a couple of trash bags. I would put them inside of my enclosure in my Tahoe and take them to the show. So anytime like somebody would stop me along the way, like, "Hey, can I get a demo?" Sure, man, but I got to get all this stuff out of my box because I have like all this. Well, it seemed like junk, but I got all these trash bags in here full of shirts and stickers and all this stuff. So I would drug it all out, and I got the guys their demos and everything, and this lady comes up to me. She's like, "Hey, I like what you have going on here. I see your Down4Sound name. Like, that's a cool business that you have." I'm like, "Well, it's not a business. It's just like I just do it for fun." She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I just do it for fun." Now she's my CPA, and she saved me probably millions by this point. Like just meeting her in the parking lot that night and having like a great relationship with her and her husband. Like he's a basehead too, Brandon Yates. I don't know if y'all have heard of him, but he's from Alabama. But he like that's who they are, and that kind of turned on the business side of it in a way, in a very small way, but that kind of turned it on because she's like, "Oh, if you wrote off your mileage and like took your hotel receipts and all this stuff, you could get like cash back." Because at that time I was paying maximum on my taxes, and I was having to pay like an additional $5,000 or $10,000 at the end of the year because I didn't have any dependents or anything like that. So she ended up going in and going over my prior years and was able to give me back like $8,000 or something. And I'm like, "Holy crap, this is awesome." Like, thank you. I'm so glad I met you in the parking lot.
What's the
So,
chances of that? I mean, that's a
yeah,
lucky.
it was like pure luck. And like I said, still to today, she's still my accountant CPA. She comes out here a couple of times a year, does inventory and like all kinds of stuff. So that's how that kind of the smaller part of it got started, but it was never an idea for it to be a big scale thing. It was just like, "Oh, how can I offset some of these expenses so I'm not getting raped at the end of the year on taxes?" So that it worked for a little bit, and I was trying to do so. What turned on the bigger side of it was Scotty also putting a bug in my head. Scotty Johnson, owner of Excess Power, I didn't know it, but he was following me on Facebook for a while, and I actually bought some of his. Like at that time, I was buying used wire. I was trying to piece stuff together, save all like because I was broke. Like I was trying to get the cheapest stuff I could to make my build happen. That's what I was trying to do. I think the first big build, the 418s build, like sort of like Meads or whatever. So I'm like on Steve Mead's website, and I go to the sales section, and I see like somebody, "Oh, parting out SPL van got these runs of wire." I'm like, "Crap, I'll take a couple of those." And anyway, he ended up following me or friending me on Facebook at that time, and I didn't know it, but he'd been following me all this time, and I'm like, "Okay, I want to run some now." Like I think it was a year or two later, I don't know, or maybe even more than that. But he's been like a friend of mine on there for a while, and he ended up. Well, I was looking to do a rebuild of my Tahoe, and I wanted to get some excess power wire. So I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, can I want to get some excess power wire. Like, are you offering any sponsorships or anything like that? I have a pretty good following. Like, I go to a lot of shows." That's another thing. If you're looking like a really quick tidbit for people that are looking to be sponsored, a business is going to look for ROI, return on investment. If you're going to ask them for a discount or whatever, you have to be able to sell them on why they should do that for you. You have to also realize that they have hundreds of people a day asking them for free stuff. So they're already sick of hearing it because like so many people just want stuff for free and they don't want to do anything. I've seen horror stories over the years. People like get a full ride, free amps, free wire, and they sell to people like, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." And then they don't ever do any of it. They go and sell the equipment. They just pretty much rob the company. So this is what's made it so hard to give for companies to do the sponsorships is because they've been burned so many times by these people. So anyway, I messaged him like, hey, I want to like try to get a sponsorship for the wire or whatever, and if you could help me out on it, that would be great. I told him all the shows that I had been to, like I could prove my worth there. So I'm like, I go these, like last year I went to these 10 shows. I'm going to do them again this year. I'm really consistent on the show scene, and my social media is growing, my YouTube is growing, and everything like that. So he could see the value, that it was an easy thing for him to see the value that I could bring back for him, giving me a little discount on my wire or whatever. So he agrees to it, but then he sends me a message. He's like, hey man, can you talk? And I'm like, talk? Like, what do you need to talk about? Because I've never talked to him on the phone before. He sends me his phone number through email, and through Facebook Messenger, and I call him. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? This is Johnathan. I can remember it like it was yesterday, because it was a very, things happen in your life where they're just there, and you won't ever forget them. It was like one of those moments. So I'm in the middle of like working out at the gym or whatever, and I get this message from him. He's like, hey, can you call me? I'm like, okay. So I look at it like in between one set. I'm like, sure, I'll call you. What's your number? And I do another set, and I come back and I get his number. I was like, I'll just call him real quick, see what he wants. He's like, man, I see how like he literally sold me on being a businessman. Like he told me that he'd been watching me for a while, how hard I worked for other people. He's like, man, if you do that for yourself, you'll kill it. Like I don't see anybody else working as hard as you do. Like I see you at the airport. I used to work at an airport. I pumped gas and did pretty much anything, but I was filling up airplanes. I was doing some mechanic work on the planes. I cleaned the toilets. I swept the floors. I cleaned the shitters out on the planes. Like it didn't matter to me. Like and still I'll clean the bathrooms here. It doesn't, like, if it needs to be done, I'll get in there and do it. And anyway, so he's like, I see you doing that all day from like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever, and then you have a little lawn care service on the side. Like you're doing that, you're cutting grass after you do that, and you're just always getting after it. And then he's like, I just saw you were waiting tables. You work at a restaurant now? What are you doing? So my dad always told me, he's like, if you ever want to have anything in life, you're gonna have to like work hard for it or whatever. And he instilled the insane work ethic into me that shines every day. And I'm like, okay. So at that point, I'm like, I need to figure out how I have as little free time as possible and work as much as I can so I can make as much money as possible. So that's why I was working 50, 60 hours at the airport. I was cutting 10 yards on the side. I have my little lawn care business. Then I'm like, oh, I can probably fit in a few hours of waiting tables at night at my favorite restaurant if I if I really want to do that. So I started waiting tables at the restaurant, and people would see me and they're like, what is he doing? Like every time when it pops up on my memories on when I'm like waiting on this table, somebody took a picture of me or whatever. So it's always a cool picture to see in my memories, and I share it, and people are like, I can't believe that, dude. You're waiting tables 6 years ago or whatever. I was like, wasn't only waiting tables. I was like cutting grass and cleaning shitters on planes and all this other stuff. Like I did it all. But anyway, he told me that he's like, if you're working that hard for other people, like you'll kill it for yourself. He's like, I can give you the discount on your product, your wire or whatever, but I think you should do your own thing. And that's how. And at that point, like I didn't want to do it because I'm like, why me? Like, why does this dude want to take a chance on me? Usually, when somebody in my head, I'm like, is this guy going to take advantage of me? Like, why does he? Like, I'm a nobody, really. Like, why does he want to push me into doing my own brand or my own like business? Like, why does he want me to do that? And so I'm like, I'll think about it. So a couple of weeks goes by, but he planted that seed in my head, and the more the time went by, it was growing and growing, and I'm like, no, maybe I could. Like, what do people need, or what do I need? I need some wire. So that's how we came up. And he's like, do you want to come up with a different brand instead of Down4Sound for your wire? I'm like, oh, I guess. And I came up with the certified bass head brand because I thought it'd be cool to have like a I don't know, a primarily bass head themed product. But I did that for I started it then. I'm like, okay, I'll do a run of like I think 0 gauge wire. I'm like, I'm only going to do OFC. I'm not going to do anything else because OFC is the best, and I want to have the best wire. And I kept having people ask me like, "Oh, do you have any CCA?" I'm like, "No, this stuff's garbage, man. I don't want to offer that." But obviously, my thoughts have changed. Like, it's not what you like; it's what you have to cater to what other people are requesting. So, but at first, I just got in. He actually, I was like, "Man, I'm scared. I don't know if it's gonna work. Like, I'm gonna fail and all this stuff." And he's like, "Man, if you want, like, I'll front it for you, and you can just pay me back when you sell it." And I'm like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sell it. Like, who wants to buy a wire?" And because my following was so small at that time. But anyway, I don't know. It was probably like literally a couple pallets of wire. It wasn't anything major. It was just getting my feet wet or whatever. And each time that I got it in, I was all excited about it. I got in 2 pallets of OSC wire. I had that. So at that time, that's when I started like putting stuff in my parents' attic and like in the little shed in the back, like putting it all over the place. But each time somebody would buy one, I would PayPal him like the money for it to pay him back, like whatever I was getting, I was sending it straight to him. I'm like, because I hate with a passion owing people money. It's something that a lot of people know me for in the car audio space. They're like, nobody pays faster than JP does. Like a lot of people are wanting 30-day terms or 60 or 90 days or something like this. I'm like, and I've always lived really far below my means to be able to do this, but when I order something, like I pay for it, or even pay for it in advance. Whenever they tell me like they need the money, like good, here you go, like let's get it done, because like that weighs on me. So even at that point when I was a lot younger, I'm like, I need to pay you back as soon as possible. So I'm like, I don't know, once a day or sometimes twice a day. If I was really having a good sales day, selling 2 spools of wire, I'm like sending him 2 different PayPal transactions. He's like, man, you can just pay me like once a month or something if you want to. You don't have to pay me every time you make a sale. I was like, man, I just hate owing people money. He's like, it's cool, man. I'm not worried about it. If I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't have took the chance in you in the first place. And so anyway, he's always been a mentor of mine, and I know he makes a joke about it, but because I've asked him for advice along the way a lot, and the other night we were at dinner in Knoxville, and he's like, now I'm calling JP asking him for advice. But we have a great relationship. Like I love him like a brother. Like we would do anything for each other, and it's been a huge benefit for me, and something that I can drop on the people here if they're looking for some advice into getting started in whatever. If you're wanting to do business or whatever you're wanting to do, get a mentor. And when you do, like, there's no bigger value than a mentor, because they've already been there and done that on so many different levels. They've already experienced all the hardships, like did it the hard way, failed a bunch of times, and like them sharing that information on the fails that they went through, and your trajectory was heading in the same exact direction that they hit all those fails. There's no telling how much money they saved you and time. Like you can get your money back most of the time, but you can't ever get your time back. So the value that they can provide to you is insane. And I think a lot of people, they don't realize this, like how important a good mentor is. And the other thing is, on the other side of that, you have so many people, when you get somewhat successful or whatever, obviously people see you shaking and jiving and moving and making all these moves and stuff, and they're like, oh, like I want to reach out to him, I want to get his knowledge or whatever. And you have so many people blowing you up on like, hey, help me, man, I want to do my own business, I want to do this and that. And for a long time, you want to have you want to help as many people as you can, and then you realize, you're like, man, I'm spending so much time trying to help these people, trying to give them all this information, and they never even use it. Like it's like a waste of my time. But they don't understand that they're wasting your time. When it's the further up you get, I guess, on the totem pole or whatever you call it, like your value of your time like is steadily growing right below you or whatever. So these people wasting these successful people's time over and over and over makes them not want to help people anymore, because they're like, I've tried this 1,000 times, and 999 of those people didn't do anything with it. Like they just wasted my time. What could I have done with my time that they wasted? Like I could have done something so much more beneficial. So if you're going to get a mentor, be sure, like, when I'm at a table with Scotty or Jacob or Nick or whatever, and I'm talking to them, and it's serious talk, and most of the time it is, like, I'm not a big chit chatter. Like, I want to have depth conversations where you ask questions, like when I was in Knoxville. I don't know if you saw the post or whatever, but we were at dinner and we were talking or whatever. But I always try to get like good golden nuggets from our time together. So I asked them, I'm like, hey, if you couldn't pass on any of your financial wins, any of your money, any of your luxuries or whatever, you couldn't pass on any of that to your kids, what bit of information would you share with them that would be the best help to them financially? And each one of them went through, or not just financially, but just overall. You get one sentence, like, to tell people, like your kids or whoever it may be. I want to share this with like other people. Obviously, I'll put it on my Facebook. But anyway, I asked them that, and each one of them answered, and I put like that in the post or whatever and shared it with everybody. They're like, man, that's great information. Like, I appreciate you sharing that with me. But that's where I'm at. I want to have these depth conversations. So when I'm there and I'm talking with them, like, I shut up and I'm like hyper focused. Like, I have my ears like totally focused on what they're telling me, because the value there is insane. And that's the biggest thing. If you're going to get a mentor, be sure you listen with intensity. Like, you're totally focused on them, and then make them proud of you for taking that information and doing something with it. Don't make them feel like you wasted their time, because they have that happen all the time. Sorry, it's so long-winded. It's just like that's how it kind of got started or whatever. So it was kind of a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, no, that was great, and I do remember the video that you posted about excess power, and you kind of twisted into a, hey, how do I get sponsored kind of thing. That video you made many years ago, but I do remember it, and I remember it being one that a lot of people, I'm sure you forwarded that video to a lot of people over the years and said, watch this, because
I actually made 2 of them now.
Did you? But, okay. Yeah, I remember those. They were really well put together, and you explained the situation just like you explained it here a few minutes ago, where you have to provide a benefit to the company well above what you're getting out of it. So it's
right.
It's great information there. So we've really knocked the time out here, and we had a few more questions I want to ask you, but I also want to be just wary of the time we have. But we obviously want to move a little bit on to the Down4Sound stuff and talk. I'm especially excited about the amplifiers and some of the stuff that you're starting to sell as Down4Sound brand. And I guess a couple questions for that is, how you as a reseller of other manufacturers' products, amplifiers included, Sundown, Incriminator, Scar, etc. Now that you're selling your own gear, how do you feel that fits in to your business and doesn't kind of, pull away from the other manufacturers that you're selling as well? Kind of how are you looking at fitting those into the market so that you can kind of put them beside the other ones instead of on top? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So the only, and I've posted this before as well, but the only reason why I usually come out with a product is because there's a niche in the market that I can't fill. For instance, when we came out with our very first amplifier, the JP23, it was because Scar Audio couldn't. They ran out of stock. It was like we went through the whole COVID thing or whatever, and they couldn't supply us with the RP2000. Like, we need to come up with our own 2000 so we can like hit that fill that void. So that's how I really don't come up with a product until somebody or something gives me a reason to. Is I'm not initially, I wasn't really caring about coming out with a bunch of Down4Sound stuff. I just wanted to be the #1 source for everybody else's brand. I wanted to like stock the most, sell the most, like just become #1. And going from nobody, not even selling anything, to being the top seller of these companies in 4 or 5 years, some of them 2 or 3 years, was pretty remarkable. And I know people have seen that, but as far as how it fits in, I think like I don't water down anybody's brand. I don't like bash any brands or anything like that. I'm giving somebody an option. So if you want to try something different. Everybody knows Sundown is a great product. Like everybody and their mom runs it. Like it's out there and it's like very high demand. So, and that's why I stock a ton of it. I still want to be the number one source for that. But coming out with my own lines or my own products or whatever is just, that's how it started. And obviously the mids that we came with, the pro audio mids with the collaboration of Deafbonts, they kind of presented that to me too, because I think so. There's a few people that kind of see where you're headed in the bigger picture, even farther than I can see, and they want to possibly attach themselves to that. And even the owner of Deafbonts said that, Dennis, he's like, "Hey man, we'd like to do a collaboration with you. We see how you're moving, and like we want to. We just started doing some sales, or trying to like establish some presence in the United States or whatever." And they're like, we have this was a year or two after they had, but they weren't growing like any type of fast. So they're like, this was going to be pretty much our next run of Sylvester's and Arnold's, but if you want, like, we can like let you have it as in a collaboration with Deafbonts. And I'm like, I don't know. Thought about it for a week or so. I'm like, actually, that'd be great, because you're killing the game in Russia. Like you have the loudest mids. You're dominating the shows for a reason. You figured things out and you're doing a great job. So that's how that came about, was me realizing that I could get 12 years of R&D into my first 6.5-inch pro audio speaker. That was going to be, so I'm like, why would I not do that? That's like, you can have an amazing thing right off the bat with collaborating with these companies. So that's how that got started as well.
When I think you filled the void in certain ways, like with the bass knob, that people weren't doing, like stuff that people wanted. Like the bass knob was awesome touch. The US amps looking chassis was an awesome touch. The fan with the clear back, that's all that stuff people want. And then you guys get crazy and build a giant gold 2-channel Class AB amp. And, I don't like, there's no way I'd ever run that amp, but just seeing that thing, like, because it's just so big,
massive,
because it's so big, but I just want it so
that's
bad.
What she said.
But yeah, but you see that amp and it's in gold and it's like, dude, this thing, like, it just needs to be up on the wall somewhere.
Right.
Just looking pretty.
Yeah. It's, it's something that's like in prototype stages, as is like a lot of things. And some of these things that we're coming out with, like obviously I told you about my guy, Jacob, and shout out to Jacob Scott. He does an amazing job on like helping run my social media and like our SEO, and just helping crush it as well, like getting him aligned with my visions and stuff. And a lot of the stuff that we come out with, all the details and stuff, like he takes care of a lot of it. So definitely shout out to him. He's great. So I appreciate him for the effort that he puts into that, for sure.
Yeah, Jacob is great. Rob and I both have worked with him, and I think Celise Harris, we talked with her. It's been over a year ago now, and we asked her, Wayne Harris's wife. We asked her, "What do you think is lacking in car audio, or what could be better?" And you know what she said? She said, "Bling." And then so when these amps came out, I'm like, Celise, here you go. Here's your bling. Get you whatever color you want. Get, the back with the plexiglass. And, the way I look at it is, as long as you have a good amplifier, that, there can be little differences between brand A, B, C, D, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But if you've got something that stands out, you got something that brings a retro look. Everybody is all about retro, right? Because things are coming back that were once big, years ago. They're coming back. It happens every 20, 30 year cycle. You'll see things come back. Mm-hmm. And things like this, to us, us old school guys who were doing this back in the 90s, we see this, we're like, man, this is really cool. And even though the internals are all new and all that good stuff, the fact that you guys are appreciating the old school stuff, to me, is like, that's why I got really excited when I first saw these. I'm like, man, they're killing it with these amps. These just they just bring the excitement back. Whereas it's not just a black amp, it's not just a gray amp. It's something that you can show off, right? You open up your trunk, you pop your Hatch, you can show people, look, I got this cool looking amp here, and it also bangs. So that's the thing that excites me about it. So, yeah, man, we're literally up at the hour already, a little bit over it, and just to be cognizant of your time,
do you have a certain time you have to get off?
No, we don't. I'm cognizant of your time, brother.
Right. I appreciate that, but like when I dedicate myself to being at something like this, like we're good. I already told my team that I would be unavailable for the next couple hours at least.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, if you're good, we'll keep going because we got more questions, and this is a great conversation, I think. So we'll keep going.
Okay.
So we talked about this just a little bit, but we did kind of skip over it a little bit as well when we talked about the internet sales with these dealer networks that have been big over the years, and some companies have been strict. Hey, we're only selling it at the local mom and pop or the chain or whatever, where people can actually go into the store. And understandably, that's been around for a while, and I understand the reasons for a lot of that, right? Because like you said earlier about the wire, right? Somebody buys one of your 5,000 watt amps and they're using 4-gauge CCA wire. They're going to have problems.
It's a fuse, bro.
Team no fuse. But I mean, I guess I can see why the manufacturers are trying to force people in some cases to go to a local dealer because they could be educated on that. But I guess the fact that nowadays all this information is out there, and the fact that people do understand that in a lot of cases now, how do you feel about other brands? Like, I know you carry a lot of different brands, but there's some that are still exclusive to local dealers. How do you think, or let's see, your process of bringing on a new brand like Crossfire, right? Crossfire was only a dealer, local dealer. You guys brought them onto your website. What is kind of your idea of looking into a new brand and deciding when you're going to bring them in? Kind of what's the requirements, or what do you look for as an online dealer?
So now, like, what I look for is it's maximum like return and as minimal effort, because I've at this point, like, again, time is valuable, and people, like, I have companies hitting me up all the time wanting me to sell their stuff because they see like how I'm moving and how I'm pushing the envelope of like sales and car audio, and obviously they want to attach themselves to that, and but it has to be beneficial for me, and I don't want to. And I've grown some of these companies, like grown with them and also grown them through their infancies and like taken them up a lot. And I've done all their social media stuff, as far as like they aren't advertising themselves, like, because JP's going to do it all. He's going to get it and put it on his YouTube channel on Facebook and do these giveaways and all this stuff. He's going to be our hype man. So, and I had to, obviously, when a company that's only been around for a year, nobody knows about you. So what are you trying to do? Like, it's going to be hard, but if you can find somebody that has 500,000 subscribers or collectively 1 million followers online, that can be a huge asset to your company. It'll grow at a way more of an insane rate than you trying to do it yourself. So that's why, like, I'm always getting called by a bunch of these companies like, hey, sell our stuff, man. Like, it's whatever. I'm like, and I'm not in the category of, or in the mindset of trying to grow these smaller brands or ones that don't already have a foothold. So that's a big thing for me to look for, is make sure they're established, they have great rapport with customers and how they react with customers online, how they take care of people, just their character, and making sure that it's a great, reliable brand, like something that's known to be heavy duty and that's gonna last. Like, for instance, Sundown or Crossfire or DC, Def Bonds, like these companies, people know them to, even their very budget friendly stuff is nice quality stuff. Like, you're still getting a lot of bang for your buck. So that's what I look for. Like, as good a quality as possible, a good return. It has to be worth my time. Just that's what it is. The top two things for me on bringing stuff in like that. If I was to, I've had some bigger companies reach out to me and try to get me to sell their products, and I'm more of a mom and pop brand type of person, like Sundown, like these companies in being relative. If you're comparing them to Rockford, they're a baby, like or JL, they're this baby company, but they have a great product, a great following, but they're in comparison, they're very small. So I call that more of a mom and pop brand. Like it's kind of an underground brand. If you ask like a normal person off the street, like, hey, have you ever heard of Sundown Audio? They're like, what? But if you ask me, you ever heard of Rockford Fosgate? Oh yeah, like I've heard of that. So like it's that household name brand that like so many of your more normal people know of, not people that are just heavy into bass or whatever. Like they're gonna know your JLs, your Alpines, your Rockford, and stuff like that, just because they've been around forever. And hats off to them for crushing it for so long. Like that's amazing. I just and also a shout out to Crutchfield. Like that's an amazing company. Like it's something that I aspire to be. The level that they've grown that to. I mean, obviously they've been doing it for. I know I've bought stuff from them when I was a kid. Like it's like generational. Like the amount of people that they've serviced throughout their time of being in business right now. So that's amazing to me. So hats off to them, like for crushing it for so long. That's inspiring to me.
Yeah, they just talk about them real quick. They've been around for almost 50 years. They started around the early 70s. But the other thing to know is they were an early adopter of the internet. There were a lot of companies that kind of didn't take on the internet and didn't want to sell things on the internet. Crutchfield jumped on that. So I think they were definitely a pioneer in that area as well. And I'm like you, hats off to them. They've done a great job, and they're a great model and a great role model, I guess, for the industry in general. Not just car audio, but car audio is what they started with. That's just car audio. Then they migrated to other,
right,
other things. But
I think Down4Sound is such good branding because it is like an underground brand. Like if you're a bass head and you know Down4Sound, there's no question. And it's kind of like FUBU.
Yeah.
From the community for the community. Yeah. And it's kind of like if you know Down4Sound, a bass head, this other stuff that normal people that just have, maybe a kicker, Rockford Fosgate, or JL speakers might not know anything about. So I do like that. I like that, it's like you're in a club that other people outside of the hobby don't know about.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many people that come through, like just from today. Like I made a post that people are coming from all over the place to pick up their equipment. I'm like, I can ship it to you. It's not a problem. I just wanted to come meet you, man. I see what you've been doing. It's really cool. Like I just wanted to see the place real quick, and we're cool with that. Like if people, and a lot of guys tell their significant others they want to, like, oh, let's take a trip to Vegas, babe. And then when they pull up at Down4Sound, they're like, it wasn't a trip to Vegas for me and you to spend time together, so you could see JP, wasn't it? So it's kind of funny, but people are coming by all the time. I mean, I'm not here a ton. I travel a lot in the name of car audio, and I'm grateful for that. I love flying, so it works out for me to be able to do something else that I love. But if you are ever in Vegas and you want to come by the warehouse and see it for a minute, well, obviously we can't give like a 30-minute tour or whatever, but if you want to peek your head in and kind of see the like the racks and shipping and all that, and purchase something, it's never a problem. And obviously if I'm here, like I have no problem like running back there if I get a minute to take a picture with you or like sign your stuff. It doesn't matter to me. Like I'll take care of you. Big D, I think, were you asking me on the brands that don't allow internet sales or just mom and pop? Were you asking my opinion on them staying true to that, like not allowing internet sellers? Or
you're welcome to go there if you want. Rob and I have talked about this in depth and talked about how following that model is only going to drive you into the ground. But yeah, I'm interested to think. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so in my opinion, it just comes down to different people have different goals with their business, and that's fine. Like whatever, I'm a big proponent of whatever makes you happy, do that. But if you're looking to grow and scale your business, you have to, in my opinion, you have to have an internet source for it. I respect them and what they've done over the years, but it's a struggling business model when you don't have an internet source for it, because it's times are just changing. Being a business, you're always bobbing and weaving. You're adapting. The biggest thing is adapting to all these changes that come. If you're still doing your business the same way you did in 1990, like that's probably why you're struggling so bad. So I think, like, I have respect for them for having their way, and they've always done it that way, and they want to keep doing it that way. But they're looking for my 2 cents on taking their business to the next level. If they're wanting to do that, just definitely open up an online source for it, because then also attaching, being very selective on who you allow to be a seller of it. Because, for instance, when you found out, like, Crossfire doesn't allow internet sales or whatever, they're like, what, JP, like, is selling Crossfire online? Like, how did this happen? Roger actually reached out to me because he too saw what I was doing. Like, he's, man, you're crushing it. You represent these brands in a great manner. You stock a lot. You ship fast. You try to take care of the customers as fast as possible and everything like that. So he saw that, and he had been wanting to do it for a little while, but he was just being really slow. And a lot of companies were reaching out to him, hey man, let us sell your stuff or whatever, but nobody wants to do big buy-ins or anything like that. It's like, oh, about a couple thousand from you or whatever, see how it goes. And I'm like, man, I'll 50 grand, got you, man. Like, let's roll, like, let's do it. So we had a meeting or whatever, and like I gave him my word that I would do my best and represent the brand like great, and that's, the rest is history. Like, placed a bunch of those orders since then. So, but that's what he was looking at. So that's kind of a person that opened up to the internet when I think another company is what DD. DD doesn't do.
Yeah.
Because some people will ask me about this brand, and are you ever going to sell DD or whatever? And I'm like, I probably would. I'm not, and I don't have to be a big fan of a company or a super fanboy of something to offer it. If I know that a lot of other people love it, like, I just want to be the number one source for it. So I know a lot of people do love DD, and I don't knock them at all. Like, I think they have a great product. They've been around forever. You don't stay in business forever if you're not offering something valuable and have a good business model. Like, it's gonna work itself out. I've seen so many businesses, like car audio businesses, pop up and go out of business in 6 months or a year, a couple of years or whatever. I mean, most businesses fail within a few years anyway. Like, but these other people, like, oh, JP's selling so much car audio online. This must be easy. Like, I make it look easy, but it's not easy. Like, it looks like it's easy. So Scotty was mentioning this. He's like, you probably have influenced more people to try to start some sort of car audio business than anybody else in the history of car audio. Like, every day you're posting a picture, you smiling with some product, and you're reviewing this product, and like, this guy's having a ton of fun, and I am, but it's because I love doing it. And most of these people, they may like car audio or like speakers or whatever, but the love for it, it's not as deep as it needs to be. And if you are just doing something to try to earn some money, you're eventually going to get burned out, and you're going to get tired of doing that, because you're like, it's not worth it. I hate looking at speakers. I hate picking these things up. They're heavy as hell. Like, it just starts weighing you down. But yeah, that's something that Scotty said that I thought was funny. I'm like, you're probably right. I mean, because just me being in car audio on the forums and everything, so probably for the past 10 years, like I said, I've seen tons of businesses pop up and like disappear, and they just, I guess they figure out the hard way how hard it is. Like, you just have to figure it out the hard way.
Yeah.
So everybody wants that late night infomercial, how to make money, get rich quick. Everybody wants that, and once they realize that's not how it works for 99.9% of the people out there. Some people get lucky, and yes, it does, but hard work
Right.
is how you get there for the most part. Rob, I'm gonna let you. Do you have? I'll let you ask. I've been talking too much, so I'm gonna let you ask a question.
Well,
If you got
I
one.
was just gonna say, just in my small scale, people don't realize, like going back to the time wasting. At some point, you have to weed out the time wasters. They're always going to be time wasters if you're on the internet or whatever. You have to kind of try to minimize them, and like when you work this job, you don't realize how many, even though it's a side hustle, you don't realize how much time you're putting into it. If I sit and put down hours for every time on social media, after I work, I got up at 5:30 this morning. I worked till 7 right before the show, ate a couple French fries, and boom, we're on. And I'll be on tonight until midnight, answering messages from people, asking a question here and there. If you actually put all that time down, people don't realize, like, if you don't love this, you're not going to make it. Just like you were saying, and it's more of a comment than a question, but I can imagine how much just side noise you get outside of just your main job selling stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's insane. Like, yeah, just totally outside of car audio, because obviously the further you go is kind of, we went going back to it, but the further you get up the ladder or whatever, people see you up there and like, how'd you get there? They like hitting you up all the time. Help me with my business. Like, my business is struggling. I just saw a comment. What did it say? It's hard to survive in the modern business climate. Somebody just commented. This is an opinion. Like, if I'm able to do what I'm doing and on the level that I have grown it to, it should be 100% proof that what's attainable. I'm nothing special. Like, I come from a town of 20,000 people. I grew up in a small, more country town than anything, where I thought if I got to where I was making $20,000 or $30,000, if I made $40,000 a year, I was gonna be set forever. Like, I'd be balling out of control. But that's what I've come from. So if I can do it from this very small town, anybody can do it. Like, and I'm not trying to be inspirational or whatever some people do, or some people think I am, but it is possible. It's just a mental thing. Like, you have to be able to weather the storms and keep the thing going. And like, I know Big D, you saw that video when I was at my dad or my parents' house, and like, I overheard my dad talking to his friend about like how proud of me he was and stuff like that, and how hard like I work, and he's so proud of me or whatever. So it was really difficult for me to hear that. Like, it like, even now it chokes me up, like knowing that you make your parents proud. Like, I can attain any level of success for personally, but knowing that you are making your parents proud, to me, is like an insane like level of like joy that I just can't. I mean, I was about to cry on that video when like I heard him say that, because it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, that's awesome. Like, it's a great thing. So
it gives you positivity for what the effort you put forth too, and it shows you that the work is actually paying off. So that it helps, right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's something you never think about until I hear Kip say it. Like, Kicker employs 200 families. How many families are you feeding at Down4Sound that this is their, they're earning their livelihood, possibly doing something they love. I'm sure not every employee's a base head, but I assume most of them are.
Yeah. So we have I think, well, here at our Vegas location, we have 8 currently, or we just had a hire this morning, so 9. And then I have Jacob. He's satellite. He stays in Florida. I have my main guy that's been with me since since day one. So a guy named Mark Vanderswag. He's in Australia. He was like one of my first fans that I ever had. He was wanting to buy some of my T-shirts. He saw where I posted them on Facebook when I was just selling T-shirts. He saw where I posted them on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey man, I want to buy some shirts. You got a website?" I'm like, website? What the hell is that? And and he's like, "You don't have somewhere somebody can go online and just purchase your stuff and you ship it to them?" Like, ship something? How do you? I don't know how to ship anything. What do you go to the post office or something? So anyway, come to find out, he's like a computer IT guy for highly surveillanced place in Australia that he can't even talk about, but very smart when it comes to the internet and the back end of things. So he's like, well, let me know if you get a store up and going or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'll try to figure it out. So I go like download the it was like, I think it was Volusion at the time was the back end software that I was going to be using. So they had like a 30-day trial, like, oh yeah, you can do some shirts or sneakers or whatever, like, and it's so easy. And I'm trying to do it. I get the shirt on there and I can't figure out how to add the sizes or the colors or all this. So I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why would I have an online store? So anyway, he messaged me back like a week later. He's like, hey, did you get that store up? And I'm like, yeah, it's right here. And I was sending the link. He's like, you only sell a large shirt in black or something? It's like, there's no colors or anything. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I don't know how to do it. It's like, it's a bunch of wasted time and I just don't want to do it or whatever. He's like, man, it's easy. I'm like, well, shit, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? He's like, okay. So he goes and he downloads the thing from the trial version from Volusion. In like 30 minutes, he has like all the shirts on there with all the different sizes and color swatches and this and that. I'm like, man, that's amazing. And that was another one of that was kind of a thing that clicked in my head, that when you're not great at something, find somebody that is and pay them for their time. Like, and this guy, he was providing so much value to me, and he still does. Like, he worked, like, he did the back end of Down4Sound, and like he still works his other job full time, but he's been the back end of Down4Sound since it started, however many years ago, when it was just in its infancy, and now he's doing mass PDF imports. And like, so if we bring on a brand for, like, for instance, DS18, we bring on this brand and they got 1,000 SKUs. And back in the day when I was adding product, I would have to do each individual product and copy the description, put it in there, do the pictures, and it would take me like 30 minutes to just add one product. And he's like 5 hours and he's added 1,000 SKUs or something. I'm like, here's your $50 an hour, man. Like, just send me the bill. So every month he just sends me the bill. So totally grateful for him. Like, that was kind of how the website side of Down4Sound started. It was just t-shirts, and then did stickers, and then Scotty's like, why don't you add some of our batteries on there and sell some of that? So we got some batteries, and that was about it for a long time. But what sparked my bigger business venture, I guess, or mindset, was when I was going to shows with my bigger system. I think the 418s one, and it was getting a lot more like attention, and everybody got in there. Oh man, where are you getting your subs from, or your amps or whatever? I'm like, oh, just sundownaudio.com or rdaudio.com, excess power. Like, I'm like, just go to them. And I was sending all these people to these companies. There wasn't any affiliate things back then or anything like that, so I was just sending all these people to the companies just because I liked them. They had a good product, they helped me out, and they believed in me. David Moore at PSI was one of my first. I didn't know this is not a funny story, but it's a heartfelt one that I never knew until a couple of years ago, that me, David, Scotty, Jacob, and a lot of other people, we were at Scotty's house, and we were just sitting, like, it was late at night. We were shooting some pool, and we were just talking about some car audio stuff at the time. And come to find out, like, Jacob asked, so David Moore at PSI was my first person to, like, be a bigger sponsor, like, because he just was the first one that kind of believed in me, even though it wasn't on this grand scale. He told, I actually reached out to Sundown because I was running their, I think, SAZ 4500s at the time. But I reached out to, like, so, and I had them in between my seats and the Tahoes where they were mounted at. So every time somebody got a demo, they saw that Sundown Audio stack of amps sitting there, like, oh, I got to have a Sundown Audio amp. And so I messaged Jacob, or I think I emailed him, whatever. And I'm like, hey man, like, how do I be a dealer for your stuff, or do you even allow that? Like, I have a website. And he's like, oh, we're not really looking for like anybody else. He was kind of trying to push me away in a way, because, like, I think he already had enough people or whatever at the time, and he wasn't wanting to do anything additional. And he ends up messaging David at PSI and asking him, like, hey, JP's asking me if he could be a dealer for Sundown, do you think he is a good candidate or whatever? And he's like, man, this guy 100%, 110% vouched for him. This guy's going places. And he told Jacob that, and Jacob took his word for it, and the rest is history. Like he messaged me back and told me that he would do it, and I was kind of blown away. But these people, when I was going to these car shows, like they kept asking me, like, where do you get your stuff from? And after the third or fourth time, that's when the light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, I could be selling these people this stuff instead of just sending them directly to their website, because there wasn't an affiliate thing at that time. They didn't know if JP sent them, and they probably wouldn't say, oh, this guy with his blue Tahoe sent me to buy like stuff from you. So they could be like, okay, here's you $100 or whatever each time that happened. So anyway, that's kind of how the light bulb went off, and I started reaching out to the different brands that I was running at the time, trying to figure out how I could sell them. And but that's how the one started with Sundown, which has been the most rewarding and fruitful for Down4Sound since day one. So definitely shout out to David Moore for telling Jacob to believe in me. And that goes to show, like, when you're doing great things, when you're working hard, and people will see it. Like, they'll see you doing these things and they'll believe in you. And when somebody calls them to vouch for you, they'll do it. But if they see you full of drama, like just being negative, just doing dumb stuff at shows, like walking around wasted and like pissing on somebody's tire or whatever, like, you're not going to get sponsored. Like, you're not going to have anybody that's going to back you up, because you're not something that they want representing their company. And that's something that's very important to me, is to offer these companies more value than they do to me. Like, I want to pour so much value on them. They're like, man, we're not paying this guy enough, or we're not giving this guy enough like margin or something like that. Like, I want to be that person that they feel that way, that I'm just providing a ton more value than anybody else. And to my knowledge, I do, because I not only bring selling your product, like I bring you this insane following that brings awareness to your brand. So they see that. And I mean, I've gotten crazy rewards for this and everything, and it's very humbling for me to experience these things. I mean, Def Bonds, I've only been selling them for like a few years or whatever, and I go down to Florida to hang out with Jessica and have like a good time down there. We go to this business conference, and Vladimir at Def Bonds pulls up in a Rolls Royce, and he's like, here you go, man, here's the keys, you can have it for the week. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, appreciate what you do for us, and if you need a room, we'll get you one. Like, I'm like, I already got the room. I had a rental car rented, but it was like a Nissan Maxima. So just things like that, and they just treat me so well, and it makes me feel good to know if somebody's doing that for me, it's because they feel like I'm overvaluing to them. Like, I'm providing so much value to them that they're like, man, let me take care of you on this. Or Jacob, like, let me send you 9 of your very own custom Down4Sound etched Neo subs that nobody else in the world has. Like, here's your Merry Christmas. This is your Christmas present. I'm like, this is crazy, man. But I'm totally grateful for it. I don't expect anything from anybody. So no matter what I get as a reward or whatever, like, I'm totally appreciative of it. Like, the other day I was with somebody said, why are you so red, JP? I went to the lake last weekend on a jet ski, so I got some sun. But anyway, I posted a picture with Scotty or whatever, because we do like a lot of business together, obviously. And I posted a picture with like $511,000 check that I was giving him, because we like have some cool stuff in the works that we're going to be coming out with. But we go to lunch after that, or the next day or something. They're like, hey, he only paid for you to get a country fried steak or something. What kind of junk is that? I'm like, your mindset is so broken. Like, it's like it's not about how much he's giving me back. He doesn't owe me anything. Like, if anything, like, I owe him a like keeping pushing forward, like making me or making him proud of me for pushing it so far forward. Like, he doesn't have to buy anything for me. Like, I don't expect anything. So I was grateful for the meal, but somebody else has to comment, that's it? That's all you're going to get? Like, you don't get any dessert or something like that. I'm like, what? Come on, man.
That just lets you know, like, people that think like that, it's like, you're just, this is not for you.
Right.
Because if you have that mindset, you're not going to get any farther than you are at that very moment.
For sure. I truly think if you can't be happy for people, like truly happy for people being successful and attaining these things, like you're never going to be like successful yourself. Like me, when I see somebody crushing, I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like I see it could even be like somebody's just started a business or whatever. Like my girlfriend, she has like a CBD store where she distributes like CBD products to like the country or the USA. And like seeing her grow her business is like so rewarding to me. And I'm like in a little affiliate for them. I'm her number one seller and like promoter or whatever. But when I get a sale, for like a CBD thing, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I feel like it's more rewarding than me. Somebody says Scotty is the number one dad. Yeah, he is. So me getting a CBD sale is like, I feel like it's even more rewarding than me selling something car audio, because I feel like I'm so good at selling car audio. It's like second nature to me. Like I can sell somebody an insane system, and it's almost like a walk in the park to me, because I know what people look for. I know, like, I go to all these sales seminars. I know how to respond to people. I know how to talk to people. It's like I can sell somebody an insane system, and it just be like another day at the office. I enjoy it, but it's easy for me. So like doing something for her is like a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Well, I did see you sell somebody. Was it FaceTime? A system. They needed an amp and a battery, and in your last video, so that's pretty cool. Who else can go up and talk to the owner and like, yeah, he recommended me this this battery, this amp?
People flip out when they call up here and I answer the phone. Sometimes they're like, "What? This is JP? Holy hell, babe, JP's on the phone. Like, get the kids." They're like going crazy. Can we FaceTime? Like, it's getting kind of weird. I just wanted to see if you wanted to upgrade your speaker or something like that. So, but it's all good.
So 25, I see you have a question about showing us the amps and telling us about them. And JP, I'll leave this up to you, but I know Jacob has really, done a lot, worked with the designers and done a lot of the back end with the amps. So we're planning on having him on a future episode, and we can go deeper into the amplifiers with him, unless there's just anything that you want to say about them and the models and kind of what your vision is with them.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of comments popping up. There's like so many people asking, show us the amp, show us the amp. So I keep seeing that comment. I just sent a message to the warehouse back there and told them to bring some up there, or bring some up here to the office so I can hold it for y'all and show you. I'm super stoked about them. But to go, going back to the colors on the amplifiers, to be honest, when Jake was like, "Hey, I think we're gonna do I want to do some colors on," like, I don't really think so, bro. Like, let's just keep it simple. Let's keep them black. Like, black goes with anything. It's just like a shirt. Like, you can wear black with whatever. Like, let's just keep them black so like people can like use them in anything. And the more like he showed me like the renderings, and the colors on, like, man, that actually looks really cool. Like that's badass. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I knew I was taking a chance. I mean, people will tell you anything on the internet. Like if you ask them like, oh, would you buy this? Hell yeah, man. I'll buy 1,000 of them. Like they tell you anything. So you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt sometimes, because so many people are just talk. You spend all this money on whatever, maybe T-shirts, and then you get them in. And you're like, oh, I got my T-shirts in. Who wants to buy one? And then the crickets come out, and nobody. It's when the money goes to exchange hands, then that's when the problem starts. So, but yeah, big fan of the colors now. Like just seeing the reaction to the community is awesome for sure.
Yeah, you get the OCD guys with that. Like, I gotta have the 4-channel with the blue and the blue 2-channel and the.
Yeah, so we have those combos that you see there, the JP8 and the JP84, and then the JP23 and the JP234. That's kind of like what pairs together. or we think anyway. Obviously, you can use whatever in whatever configuration you want to. I am kind of excited to see some people do like a bunch of different colors in their vehicle just to be kind of like Skittles back there.
Right.
I think
Taste
that'll be
the rainbow.
Cool. Right.
I can tell you, seeing especially the JP8, the blue, in person. This is one of those things that in life, pictures on the internet just don't do it justice.
Exactly.
You see those things in purpose, and up front, and it's like, whoa.
I feel like that's got a good question.
That is an interesting question. So that's something that was done kind of back in the day when people wanted to link amps together. They had to have a little link to go between them. These look like, they would butt up against each other, but the purpose of the link obviously is to, make it look all like one amplifier.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question. That would be something to, I guess, depending on how well they sell and what you would think about moving forward if you want to do something like that. It's just another piece of aluminum, obviously, that has to be anodized.
Right. Yeah, I mean, who knows what the future holds? We'll see.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting, if you're going to bring some of the amps, I did have a question about, kind of like your vision. I don't obviously want you to give away any of your insider secrets here about your company or what you're planning to do, but just curious. I know you've talked about possibly an East Coast distribution center and things like that. It may already be in the works. I don't know how much of that stuff is publicly known or how much you want to talk about it. Just trying to put it out there to let you talk about anything that you want to give people kind of a teaser for things that are coming. Big things coming for Down4Sound.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have had a location inside of like Sundown. We have our own location there. I think it's been 4 years. It's not something that I tell a ton of people about, but we've been doing that for 4 years to start, because I mean, obviously Sundowns are one of our number one sellers. Like we have like Scar that's like came up so fast and just crushing it. But I have a location over there that I stock a ton of Sundown in and to distribute from there. Can you just right here, please? Thank you. But so because that's one of our number one sellers, and shipping a 100-pound sub from the West Coast to the East Coast is like you can do the numbers yourself. Like and also the amount of days in transit, it is each day longer in transit is going to increase the chances of it getting damaged, especially if it's a 80 or 100-pound sub. Like, man, they have a rough life on the way to their owners for sure. But luckily, most of them make it okay. Every now and then we get some that has a broke basket or something like that, and we replace it. But as far as being open and sharing things, I don't think there's anybody out there that's as transparent as I am. Some people, like especially if they already don't like me for whatever reason, they see it as bragging or whatever. But because I've always shared my successes, my failures, like everything, I share all this information with people. Some people take it as advice or whatever, or they take it and implement it in their business or whatever it may be, but or in their life. But I've always been super transparent with it, so it doesn't really. I don't think it really matters as much as people make a big secret out of things. I don't know. I've just been different, and I think that's kind of how and why I've grown to like one of the proponents to how I've grown to what I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was flipping through the comments while you're doing that. I know somebody just brought in the amp, I think.
Yeah.
For you there.
Look at this beaut.
Let me I'll make you go full screen so we can.
That's the 5-channel. I can tell.
Yeah. Let me get rid of this comment, Rob. Let's see here.
Let's see.
There we go. Yeah, again, if it's anything like the blue one, the camera here, even though it's a pretty good camera on his phone here, I think in person these things even pop more than they do online.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have angled terminals, so
yeah, thank you for that.
I'm a big fan of that. As someone that tests amps.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's got obviously Tiffany style inputs, and it's got the bass remote that's just super sweet. And of course the plexi bottom, so you can show that off too.
Super dope.
That's all the check boxes pretty
Well,
much.
it makes you want to mount it upside down, but the anodizing looks so nice that it's you really have a struggle. Like, do I want to mount it upside down, or do I want you to see like the full anodized?
I think it's a good candidate for being one that's like mounted on a board that you can flip up, right? So you can see the
Yeah.
top of the amp, and then you lift your board up and say, "Here's the bottom of it." Yeah, 0 gauge inputs too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a clip light on it too.
Yeah, clip light on
man.
there
You know how we
and
do
There
it.
you
on
go.
the
There you
remote too.
go.
He's like, "Yeah, boy, that's
Yeah.
sweet." And
Clipping all the channels.
even at the full price, not even the sale price, I think it's still a good deal. But right now, we'll go back here online and show everybody. You actually have an option of either going for the JP95, which is the 5-channel, the one that Jonathan just showed off, or for the same price currently $369, which subject to change I'm sure any day now. But you can also get the JP8 and the JP84, which I haven't tested the 5-channel yet, but I would say the JP8 and the JP84 may be a little bit stronger combination as far as power goes. Obviously, 2 separate amps, so you've got a little bit more flexibility with mounting. So that, to me, that was that deal really stood out. But either one, we'll leave some links in the video description and stuff if you guys want to go check those out.
Yeah, if you wanna grab any of these amplifiers, be sure to hit up Big D's link and support him on like your purchases and everything. Again, he does a great job, and that's like being an affiliate and attached to Down4Sound is like a win-win for both of us. So just be sure to hit his links up to like grab your amps.
Yeah, we talked about this before. So the whole reason that I've, as an independent tester, kind of distanced myself from manufacturers and from companies is to the fact that I want to be able to say what I want to say about a product or whatever. So I want people to understand that I still do that. The fact that I link to things like this, I'm going to tell you if there's something when I test it that they can do better on the next version with this. So exactly. I just want people to understand that you're still getting the authentic review when I do it. You're still getting accurate numbers because we use a dyno and you can't really fake the dyno.
Right.
So just understand that. But again, these amps, and I know who was behind them on the back end, who's helped with some of the designs, who's helped make them stronger, make them more reliable. I have a lot of confidence in people who are involved in these projects, so I feel pretty confident standing alongside JP here with these, and I'm just really excited about them because I'm an amp fiend. I think Rob is too, but there's the blue one. All right, I'm gonna switch you full screen so you can show it off.
There you go.
So let's see. I'm trying to make sure I don't have it upside down. So here's the JP84. It's smaller than I thought it would be. It's kind of weird trying to focus it on the camera because it's like backwards or mirrored or something. But why can't I get this? Okay, here we go. So JP84, it's actually smaller. I thought it was gonna be the same size as the JP8, but it's not. It's a decent amount smaller. So on this side, just 4 gauge on the inputs, which is plenty enough for a quote unquote 80x4, right?
Oh yeah, plenty.
And obviously we have, even the babies get the plexiglass back. And crossover network over here.
All the crossing that you want to do. Yeah. It's focus. We see it.
Are those bandpass crossovers, or is it just high pass and low pass?
Let's see. Yeah, high pass, low pass. Yeah. So we have high pass and low pass. Times 10 multipliers. And when it comes to, again, when it comes to super techie stuff, like I have people that I look to for support in that. I tell people all the time, like they think I'm this car audio genius or something. I'm not. Like if I had to rate my level of car audio, I would say a little bit more than basic. But when it comes to super techie things, I'm not the person, and that's where I have people that can explain it better and answer those questions, like Big D. He knows.
Yeah, it is bandpass capable, and again, we'll get Jacob on in a future episode. Jacob Scott, and he's gonna, like JP said earlier, he's been kind of somebody who's been helping drive the designs and a lot of things with the amplifier. So we can get real deep into the techie stuff with him to find out why he decided to go with the US amp style. Why he decided to choose to wear, the colors that pop, things like that. I think that's probably a better episode to discuss
it's
that.
actually the reason behind that is he has a great relationship with Craig. What's his last name? I can't remember his last name, but I think he used to work at US Amps back in the day, and he was one of their main designers and tech guys or something like that.
Yeah,
so
I think it's Craig Smith. Yeah,
Craig Smith.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the amplifiers that we are coming out with is him kind of collaborating with the guy that used to work at US Amps, and kind of, in a sense, we're tipping our hat to US Amps back in the day, because so many people, like you said, are more old school type guys. Some guys are a little bit older. Like, everybody knows about US Amps and how great they were back in the day, and they're like, man, I'm excited to get one of these because it's kind of taking me back. Like, I can't wait to grab one because it takes them back in when they first got into car audio or whatever. So that, as far as the design, the chassis, as you were saying, is us tipping our hat to them, and also the colors, because they did a bunch of colors back in their day as well. Everybody knew them. They had a bunch of colors or whatever. So as you know, I said I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but as I saw it and held it, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is super cool. So, but yeah, so that's how that kind of came about and where it's gone from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this question, obviously, Thomas brings it up because I bring it up all the time too, and I'll keep pushing it. But the VU meters, the little dancy lights, we're all about that.
Oh, yeah.
The old Macintosh amps. I don't know if you've seen those. They're
yeah.
That's something that just kind of exudes to me. Not only quality, but to me, with something with VU meters, just sounds better, even if it's a pyramid. So I don't know. It's just all in my head, probably.
That's awesome. I see like a lot of people contributing some dollars to the chat. So I'm gonna call y'all out. Be sure you donate something to the chat here, so it'll be worth their while of putting this on for y'all. I mean, I know there's been a ton of comments, people saying they appreciate it. I've seen Scott, he's donated, a bunch of people donated money, so it's cool to support these guys when you can. And most of them they don't want to ask for anything. Nobody wants to seem like a beggar or anything, but these guys are taking their time out of their day to share a bunch of knowledge with you guys. I appreciate it. Chris Vieira, I see you just donated $5 or contributed $5. JP is a real inspiration. If you want to make it, you got to work harder than most people are willing to do. 100%, man. But yeah, I appreciate y'all supporting them and chipping something in, so it's worth their time as well. I mean, obviously the value that we should be providing to y'all, sharing these stories, business, or whatever it may be. Like I said, I'm a totally open book. It doesn't really matter to me. People ask me whatever questions with my business, and I'm cool to answer it. Like, I'm not super secretive about it. Obviously, if like I'm posting a picture, like doing a business transaction with Scotty for $500,000, like there's no secrets here. Like, I'm letting people know. And a lot of people that have been following me for the 10 or 12 years have seen me when I posted the first picture of me doing like a $10,000 transaction. Like, they've seen this transition over time, like getting to these bigger deals. So anyway, appreciate y'all's support.
Yeah, thanks for that. We appreciate that. Again, in your time, obviously, pulling you away from working your hours here at Down4Sound and doing the other things you do. We do appreciate that.
I don't work, man.
Greatly.
You know how people are. I don't work.
You just get everything for free.
JP doesn't do any work up here. He just sits behind his desk all day.
He just got to stay up later tonight since he's messing with the knuckleheads. Yeah.
That's right. David,
shout out to David Monroe, $20, Bass Junkie, $25. Rolling it in. They're going to be able to pay for their dinner tonight. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you guys, we do appreciate it. Obviously, we don't we don't ask or beg, but we do appreciate it. It goes straight toward the channel and toward doing more of these type shows. And
a lot of people don't understand what it takes, and like biggest thing is time, but you also have all your equipment. Y'all have professional mic setups and headsets and all this stuff. I'm over here on my 3-year-old iPhone, like embarrassed that I don't have a good sounding setup, but like all this stuff costs money.
You actually sound pretty good, man.
Yeah.
It actually does sound
it's
really
my
good.
Country bumpkin accent.
Hey, we're from the country. Listen, we got a lot of things in common. We all three hate low taxes. I hate taxes of all time. We all three
100%.
probably work too much, more than we should, and we all love car audio. So hey,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if y'all have any, like I said, I dedicated this time to y'all. So if there's any other questions, I know you sent me a little breakdown of a bunch of different questions that you'd probably hit. I don't feel like we've went through all those. So if there's some more that you want to go over, I see there's still 160 people in here. So
they're still eating it up. I think, Rob, you can look at them with me, but I think we made it through most of the ones that we had. If you guys in the chat have anything that you want,
so Sundown Show.
Sundown. Right? Are you going to the Sundown Show, JP? Okay,
yeah, 100%. Cool. We're actually going to be. I don't know if you've seen it, but we're actually going to be putting on a dinner for the affiliates. So that's going to be Friday night. And Jacob should have added, or he should be sending invitations. This is going to be a private event or whatever. We won't release where it's going to be because we'll have some haters show up and try to shut the place down or something. But I want to get with you guys, like all the affiliates and stuff. We're going to have I'm going to invite all of them, but whoever shows up is good. You have to RSVP. But it'll be good to sit down with you guys, and we have girls too that are doing a great job of. I can't believe it, like how many sales they're bringing in from. It just goes to show you, like, anything is possible. You don't have to be a car audio know-it-all to sell car audio. Like you can just be cool with it or know how to present it or whatever, and you can do it. So yeah, we'll be at the Sundown Show, and we'll have Jerry Jocko there from he's big on TikTok. He has an insane following on there. He pretty much just does demo videos every day, and people love him for that. So how awesome is that to get 1 million subscribers or followers on TikTok just from playing your bass every day? Awesome.
Yeah.
My daughter's going to freak out when she hears that.
Yeah.
She's like, what? Because, when you tell them about YouTube, they're like, oh, that's cool. But, TikTok is where it's at, Dad. You're doing the old guy stuff. I'm like, I know, because I'm old. So it's all good.
Yeah, if y'all have any other questions as well, like you said in the comments, if y'all are curious about anything, y'all are more than welcome to ask. Let's see. Do you have batteries and amps now? Plans for D4S subwoofers in the future? Again, like when I come out with something, it's really to fill a void, and I offer a ton of great subwoofers, and it's not something that I feel is any type of void. Will I ever do it in the future sometime? Maybe, but is it really on my mind heavy right now? Not at all. Like, it's not something that I'm super interested in. So,
I'm interested to see how those red amps do, because I think they're gonna, I think they're gonna do pretty well. But it'll be interesting to see.
You mean the 95s?
Yeah, the 95s.
Yeah, I think we had we just opened up pre-sales, like I think it was
a few days ago, I think, right?
Yeah, maybe like a week ago or something like that. Man, one of my pet peeves in car audio is people again, different people have different business models and whatever they like, and it's their business. That's great. And me personally, I hate doing these 5-6 month pre-orders or even 2 months or whatever. That drives me up the wall. Like I'm like,
that's one of our pet peeves as well. We've said it many times on the show.
Yeah, high five. But yeah, it drives me up the wall. Like because there's so many things that can happen, like to delay it, and then you have people call in, and to me it just creates this snowball that not a good snowball. It's a snowball of all these customers calling, even though you told them it could be longer than what you have projected. They see that first date that you put up there, and when it doesn't make that date, they're upset. They're talking bad about you online, like all this stuff. So my thing is, until the amplifiers clear customs, because customs can take a month. Like it just depends how bad they want to get over on you if they want to. Sometimes you'll get through in a couple of days. Sometimes it'll be a month. Like you never know. So until mine clear customs, I don't offer them for sale. So that way, usually when they clear customs, it's usually a few days or so. This time it was longer. I think it ended up being 8, maybe 10 days before we got them. But we did project, I think, the pre-sale or the release date or the ETA for us to be shipping them out. I think it was the 19th. What's today? The 21st? Yeah, it was the 19th. So we missed it by a couple of days. So I'm okay with a couple of days, but even a couple of weeks, I'm like, I'm not a fan. So I try to wait until we get the stuff as close as possible. But obviously, now that we got those in, just in the week that we've had them, or had them available for sale, I think we had like around 100 already pre-sold, and we ordered 1,250 of each of these. So like I'll probably be placing another order here soon, because there's around a 4 to 6 month build and get to you time right now with all the delays and everything, and so just seeing how fast they go, or how fast they've been going just in a week is pretty crazy. If they keep that up for what's that? If we did 100 in a week, that's going to be 12 weeks, and they'll be gone. So
yeah, that's nothing.
Especially when Big D does a review video on it, it'd be like 200 a day.
Well, I've posted, a question on my channel to ask people what electrical system do you have and what size amplifier do you want to run? And it was like 80% of people have stock electrical. So I think this market with, a 5-channel amp that does everything, where you don't really have to upgrade your electrical, you can do it with your factory electrical, just, run your 0 gauge front to rear. Stuff like that is really, I think, overlooked a lot in the segment, and the fact that 5-channel amps are still, I think, still a strong suit for people who just want some bump. They don't want to take up their whole They don't want to take up the whole trunk, and get everything in one amp.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we did it. I think the same thing. People just want something that's easy. They don't have to run 2 power wires to all this double stuff when you run separate amps. It simplifies a lot of stuff, and you get a very nice upgrade to your power going to your speakers. So it looks like it's doing very well already. So it looks like we kind of hit the nail on the head with that one.
That's awesome.
But so about how many bullet tweets do you sell a month? Would you say?
Man, we just got are you talking about our brand or just overall?
Any of them, just in general.
Insane. We got into Sundown. Sundown just came out with their very first pro audio tweeter, and it's called the GT-1R or R1 or something like that. And I think I sold 100 of them within a few days. Wow. They're just going crazy. It's blowing my mind.
I'm actually on I got this hashtag started. It's ban the bullet tweet. I'm against bullets. I'm against bullet tweets. I want everyone to use Silk Dome or Textile or something. But yeah, right. I hope you keep selling them though, since you're such a good guy.
Yeah, that's what it is. I just whatever people want. I just want to be there to offer it for them.
Do you ever get in a demo where you get the 1 minute of music with just the mids and everything and no bass, and the bullet tweets are just murdering your eardrums?
Piercing? Oh yeah. Sometimes I'll even tell man, can you turn it down a notch? And I think they find that as a win. Oh, my stuff was so loud. Yeah. JP told me to turn it down before I even turned the bass on. I'm like,
yeah, no kidding.
It's just your tweeters, bro.
We need a DJ just skips to the bass. Give me 2 seconds or 5 seconds of the song, and then boom, let's just go bass.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, get to the
exactly.
And Deviant posted here. I think it's well stated too. We typically try to keep these to an hour, just to be cognizant of everybody's time, especially people we're interviewing. And yeah, I have to agree with you here that JP set aside some time, and he's stuck on here with us to answer you guys' questions and go through all the ones that we had. So shout out to you for that. It's really awesome.
I'm just trying to roll through and see if anybody else. I got a demo from JPS Technology.
No, Hi-Fi Vega is also a Down4Sound affiliate too, so you can use his links in addition to mine. So
we're getting so many people. I can't even keep up with all of them. I do need to come out with like I guess a day I pay. Like it's always totally random. I'll just like hop on like, oh, it's a couple thousand, so I might as well like hit a payment. But like once a month at like the first of the month I'll pay everybody or whatever. I don't know. So I do need to work on that.
yeah, it's all good.
How are amps for SQ builds? I mean, I think they'll be decent. They're not class AB, so it's obviously it's not going to be the cleanest signal. But me personally, I think I have a decent ear. Like it's not straight up sound quality by any means, but I think I have a decent ear for listening to music. I personally can't hear the difference between a class AB and a class D amplifier. I'm a normal guy. Like I'm not looking for like these little bitty differences or whatever. So me personally, I can't hear the difference. So a lot of people, they just read something on the internet and think they have to go this way or they can't go this way or whatever. And a lot of people ask me that. So that's my opinion on that. I don't. I personally can't hear the difference. So I think you asking, will it be okay or good sound quality or whatever? I think so. Like for most people, like it's gonna sound great. If you're just a straight up SQ dude, you wouldn't be looking at an amp that's $300 anyway. Like you know there's a difference. So you wouldn't be even considering this for straight up SQ, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, granted,
you'd be like, "What's up, Macintosh? What's up, whatever?" Like, just depends on Focal, like wherever you want to be.
You're definitely catering to, I wouldn't say the entry level, but definitely not the high end, with these particular models. But man, I just the looks and the performance I've seen thus far, and I haven't had any complaints with the sound at all with any of the ones I've heard. So.
Hopefully we can keep that going for sure. Now that's the goal. Like my goal with our products that we bring is bring great value at a fair price. Like it's no secret. Like I'm by far not the cheapest. I don't want to be known as the cheapest. I don't want to be the cheapest, but I do want people to get this and they take it out of the box. You're like, man, this was worth it. Like this thing is nice. Like when you feel it and see it in person, like it's in your head, you're like, this is money well spent. I would have paid more for it, but I got an insane amount of value here. So that
$369 introductory price, I mean, that's an insane value for what's like 1,000 watts on the sub channel and 80 watts by 4. Like that's
it's
I mean,
crazy.
It'll do even more at lower on load. So, but we'll see what it looks like on the dyno.
We'll see. We'll see that.
We don't make any claims. We rate them at the norm or whatever. So.
Time to get to work. So this is a classic statement here. DC says, keep it up. I don't own any of your equipment, but after this, I probably will. So,
I appreciate that.
Keeping it real, being yourself, telling people what's up and, just how you are and how you function. I think you're going to get the haters, of course, but you're also going to get people like this who are going to say, wow, I learned something new today. I want to support guys that are like this in the industry that are, on a show with a couple big dummies. And, that's awesome. I appreciate that comment, DC. That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words as well. Like, and that's why I keep doing it. Like, showing up at these places, going to these shows. A lot of, like, Steve Mead, I think he's a great guy. I do tons of business with him on insane levels, but he's not a show dude. Like, he doesn't go to shows. Like, and people, they know me for that. They know, like, they're going to see me at all these shows. And some people will comment on my live streams and stuff when I go live. And they're like, because we have the Down4Sound difference, guaranteed lowest prices, fastest shipping, best customer service is what we strive for. But some people are like, oh, I can just buy the same thing from Amazon. And I'm like, in a way, I'm like, okay, the dude's a hater already, probably, because why would you want to support a multi-billion-dollar company that you'll never see Jeff Bezos at a car show, or you'll never see him in your entire life, more than likely. You're not going to trade demos with Jeff Bezos. You're like, why? Like, why would you do that?
And you can't find nothing on his site related to car audio. Good luck.
Exactly. And they're not going to help you with any tech support or, yeah, exactly. So after I break it down to them like that, some of them understand, but some of them are like, they're not going to do it anyway. They're not going to buy from me. It's almost like the signature thing. They're not going to pay for it or support me in any way anyway. So it doesn't really matter to me. I see a guy keeps asking, are you ever going to do a SQ build? Probably not. It's not my thing. Like I said in the beginning, like I respect them and think they're great, and I love listening to them. It's amazing. It gives me goosebumps when it hits those certain frequencies and stuff, and just how clean it is. Like it'll fill me with goosebumps. I'll get the chicken skin, going like, man, this is awesome. Like so, I really appreciate it, but it's not my cup of tea. I just like to have the goal with my Tahoe is to have a nice crowd loud. Is by far not the loudest vehicle like by any means out there in any way, but I want it to be something that I can pull up somewhere, open up all the doors, it looked nice. The big thing is looking nice. Like I wish we could make attention to detail and finishing installs before you take it to shows a thing, because
I agree.
I've seen people going to like a bunch of people going to shows for years and years and years. And they're like, oh, I'm rebuilding. I'm like, bro, you were doing that like 6 years ago. Like your stuff is never finished. Like at least get it to a point of where it's showable for the year, and then do your rebuild in the winter. Like I don't know. It's different for every person, but I wish we could have more people with finished, trimmed out, like looking nice systems. And that was my goal with the Tahoe. Like I know it's by far not the loudest thing out there by any means. And a lot of people say that, like, I'm just coming to the show to hear JP's Tahoe. I'm just traveling like 15-hour drive to just hear your Tahoe. I'm like, man, I appreciate that, but please don't do that. Like, I mean, anything can happen. Like my system, and it's a system. Like it has its car audio components. They'll fail every now and then. It just happens. So if you travel all the way here just to hear my truck and I blow a sub or my amp pops or something like that, then do you feel like the whole trip is a waste? So don't come just to see me. There's a ton of other great guys out there that have amazing builds as well. Daniel Powell, Stephen Duncan, these guys, like they're Drew Jones. Like there's tons of guys out there that have these amazing builds that you should come to experience the whole show. Not just mine. I mean, I appreciate you coming for me and it getting you to the show. And a lot of times that's whoever's putting the show on's goal of having me there is to bring the attendance up, like get more people there, and that's awesome. But come to the show to see everything. There's such a variety, and there's so many great people out there. I know we talk about the haters, and we talk about the people that are crazy and negative in the car audio community. There's a ton of great dudes in the car audio community. I mean, y'all are two of them, but there's an insane amount more great people in car audio than the little pissy boys or whatever you want to call them. So I don't think that going to a show is gonna in any way be a bad experience. A lot of times it is what you make it, but yeah, don't come just to hear my Tahoe. Like come to experience the whole thing. Like these other guys got a bunch of great stuff going on as well.
Well, on the big bass builds, like some of the clean wiring, like some of the people that took the time to actually map their wiring out, it's like art. It's awesome. They'll have 6 runs from the alternators up front of one on. It's just like flowing through the whole system, and it's pretty sweet.
I got 20 runs of 0 gauge going from the front to the back. So yeah, and that's something with it as well. I see somebody's asking, how did you find JT to do your install? I think it was Facebook or YouTube or something way back in the day. Let's see, JP, have you seen Parker Chili's system? I think if that dude's on YouTube, like a younger kid, I think I've seen a couple of videos. He's doing a great job with what he's doing as well.
Yeah, he's going to be there at the Sundown show. He actually lives in Boone, North Carolina, so he's not far from Sundown.
Oh, cool. I
So
actually commented on one of his videos. I think he got something from me, or he got something. I'm like, oh, I sell that. Like, listen, you want to be an affiliate or something like that? I liked his vibe, and I feel like he's doing a good job with his videos and stuff. So obviously, if I can help him make some revenue from what he's already loving doing, then it's a win-win again. Making a lot of people are asking, am I changing the Tahoe? Am I rebuilding it? Probably, and then I always said that like once I got it to this form that it's in now, I would never touch it again because it's just
that's a classic car guy statement,
right? And it has been this way for over 2 years. I think it's going on 3 years actually. So it has been there for a while. But I'm thinking about changing it up this winter with Jacob. I didn't know why Jacob sent me 9 subs. I'm like, I only have 6, bro. I'm like, is this
that's a subtle hint,
right? Is this a hint that I need to upgrade my stuff? All right, man. So, okay, the guy's asking, is JP a BMXer or a skater? I've never skated before, so I have rode bikes before, so I guess I'm a BMXer if I had to be one.
Yeah, that's like a weird thing that we ask because we both found out that a lot of old school guys or guys in car audio were also in BMX.
BMX, yeah, and I know
cool.
Jacob Scott is a skater because he's got a half pipe in his backyard,
and we're gonna let him on the show despite that because you know that skaters are our natural mortal enemies.
They kind of are, yeah. BMX and skaters don't get along, but Jacob's all right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the rebuild, probably so. This coming up winter, I'll do. JP, you're answered wrong. But probably this winter we'll do a rebuild in it so I can utilize all the subs that Jacob sent me, make him proud. Like, oh, what's he doing with the other 3 subs? We did have some issues with the new subs that he sent me, so I'm also like a little prototype guinea pig type of dude. Like even the old Neo subs, so I started out with the Fairlight Team Neos initially, and man, I was blowing subs left and right. Like I couldn't keep them going for anything, and it just wasn't a good fit. And man, they were like 160 pounds. Like it was like, you don't, once you blow one, you're like, I don't even want to touch this thing because it's like getting a 160 pound sub out of a wall and out the port. It's just not something you look forward to. Even now with them being, I think they're 90 pounds, it's still not fun. But anyway, when we transitioned into the Team Neo V1s, the ones that I had in there for about 3 or 4 years, I asked them to change a couple of things. One of them was to block off the pole vent and force the air out from around the sides of the motor and through the cooling gaps in between the basket and the top plate. And man, it was like the recipe, like the perfect recipe. Like I beat on them subs for years, and I think I had like 1 or 2 fail. The other ones, I would go every show I went to, I would have a sub fail. I'm like, this sucks, man. Like, it makes you not want to go to car audio shows because you're constantly down or blowing stuff up. So when they tell me about coming out with the new subs with the nice fins on them and the new Saint technology like the NSV5s and everything like that, but mine has way more everything in it, basically way more Neo, way more everything to make it as powerful as possible. And I go to Slamology and I'm like, man, something like it plays good for a little bit. I'm like, something seems weird. So I get the guys from Sundown and everything. I was like, can you get back there and check it? And he's like, man, everything's fine. Like he's like checking the leads and like checking the triple joints and everything. He's like, everything's fine. Like, I'm like, bro, it's not fine. It's something's, stay in the box and let me play. He's like, hell no, I'm not staying in this box and letting you play this. I'm like, I'm not going to turn it up that loud. Like, I just want you'll hear it, because what happened was it was blowing dust caps off because they didn't account for how much motor force would be there. So it was, it was pulling the dust cap. The glue wasn't failing. It was pulling the top paper layer off of the cone. So it just couldn't handle it. So anyway, we sent I was like, okay, we'll fix a couple and see if it'll get through scraping the coast. And we go through scraping the coast. Like I'm one demo in, like I'm 15 minutes into demoing, and like another one lets go or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll bring a spare sub, throw it in there. We throw that one in there, and then another one picks up a piece of trash out of the box, like a piece of metal, and it flames out, like this crazy thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this fixed. Like this isn't a good look. It's not fun. So anyway, we took them out. We had 2 more weeks before we went to the next show. I don't even know what the next show was, but we had 2 weeks in between that time and the new show. So we took them out, shipped them to all to Sundown. They cut them all apart and checked them out. They're like, everything's perfect. It's just the dust caps letting go. So they reconed all of them and had a guy make. You may have saw the Jacob poster where, but he made custom aluminum dust caps to put on the top of the I guess the voice coil at the top, whatever that top part of it's called. So I don't have any like quote unquote dust caps on my like subs. If you look at the front of them, it looks like a what do you call that? A phase plug, like on a sub. Like it has like this aluminum thing on the top of it.
It looks like Madonna in the 90s, but yeah.
Right. Exactly. But anyway, we made it to the show after that. It was an Excess Power show last weekend or the weekend before, and played them. They're doing awesome. So I'm like, fingers crossed that we figured it out again. Like they're louder, they're playing lower, it's working great. So I've got my fingers crossed that continues. Best 12-volt talk to date. Hey, I appreciate that, guys.
Sweet.
Thank you for the support. I appreciate all y'all being in here. Even more people in here now, 180 people. Like,
yeah, it's crazy, man. Later it gets to more on. So DIY Audio Guy posted earlier talking about maybe getting one of your prefab boxes. This is a response.
Those are profabs, Jerry.
Sorry.
Right.
Did I say pre?
Yeah.
So anyway, Hotshot replied and said that he's been looking for reviews. He just ended up buying one, and he really likes it. Turned out really well. So those boxes look like they're really quality boxes that you guys do. So
yeah, that's what we shot for. Like we were just trying to, again, not like the first comment that you get is like, oh, it's more expensive than whatever. Like they compare it to whatever. Like it's more expensive than that. And like, I can't make it clear enough. I do not want to be the cheapest person in car audio. Like I want to provide a great value to a person at a fair price. Like that's my motto. So if you can't respect that, like then I guess we're not going to be friends. You still have okay.
So, yeah. So I you didn't mention anything about this, but just curious. Any possibilities for the JP83 in any future builds for you?
Well, possibly. And it's funny, I was talking to Jacob because on the rebuild, I know we went off this alleyway down the other side, but yeah, I'm planning on doing it probably this winter. I have a couple of guys in mind. One of them is Daniel Powell, great dude, awesome builder. Like he's known to build some crazy stuff, and it looks amazing. It looks and performs amazingly. So that's what I look for. So him, the guys down at Def Bunts, they have a shop that they're doing installs and stuff for. They're them Russians, man. They're known to get some insane numbers out of stuff, and even at a low frequency. I think they just posted a couple of days ago or something that they hit like a 181 181.7 at 35 hertz. Who does that? Like these other guys are like, oh, we hit a 183. Yeah, it's 70 hertz. Like to do that, I mean, I don't know what the knowledge base is on like the people that are in this room right now, but if you didn't know, it's way harder to get a higher number at a lower frequency. Like it goes up exponentially. It's insanely harder. So for somebody to be doing that big of a number at 35 hertz is like insane. So anyway, there's a few guys out there that I'm like contemplating on working with and doing the rebuild. But I guess now that you bring that up, it just depends on when it gets there and when the amps will need to be. The JP83s are still a ways out. We still need to do another run of testing on them because, as you know, like I want to make sure we find all these things and also like let Big D look through it, let Shane look through them, let all these guys that we value their knowledge and their expertise in these fields to look through them first and see like, oh, I see I kind of see a weak point right here. If this amp was going to fail, it'd probably be right here. How can we make that better? Okay, let's do that. So let's go through all these things on the front side, just like with the 23s and the 8s, and our return rate is insanely low. Like, and that goes to the prototyping and us doing all this testing on the front side. So, and it's just a win-win for everybody, but the bigger win is for the customer, them getting something that's going to be reliable and they'll be able to put in there and they're just going to play until the cows come home. So that's the most important thing. So we want to keep that, I guess, if you want to call it a tradition, like of really testing our amps to the fullest, letting like pros go through them and nitpick the hell out of them. So make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's with all of them before we actually release it to the public. So when these people get it and beat on it, it's going to stand up to it being beat on. So
that makes a lot of sense, because the returns and dealing with the repairs and the selling refurbished and all that. I'm sure that's a huge hit. So keeping those at a minimum is a great thing.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, the biggest thing is like the customer being able to get the stuff and keep it, like them like being happy with it. We don't have a problem. We do our best to help people out. If like they do end up being a random, some people, they'll even tell us, man, I hooked it up backwards, or like it's totally their fault. Like I shorted it out on whatever, and we'll still work with them on it. Obviously, it's customer neglect or whatever. Like we'll still split the repair costs with them or something like that, just to help them out, because we just want, again, we want to be fair with the people and make sure they're having a good experience with our products. Let's see, I was trying to see if any. So it looks like we answered all the questions. Again, if y'all have any other questions, like I guess we'll wrap it up in, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, like cut it off at the 2:30 mark. If anybody has any questions, y'all can ask. I'll try to help you, or I'll answer them if it's for me. But if you have some questions for these guys, obviously they'll answer them too.
Yeah, Aaron, is about the clip light being used to set the gains. I'll double check on that. I think you can do it that way, but I'll double check that when I get it in, and I'll let you know for sure.
Didn't you test the clip light to the clip light on the AD1?
So,
and it
Yeah, so the thing I like about a lot of the bass knobs, like the ones that come with these amps, is they're a little bit what I would call conservative. In other words, they'll come on just a little bit before the amplifier really clips. So that's a good thing.
That's a good
because whenever you see that thing lit up, you know that, hey, this is the time I need to start turning it back just a little bit. And the fact that it lights up just a little bit early is much better than it lighting up late. So I would say you can definitely use it for setting your gains, but just watch that clip light. And if it starts flashing red, then turn it down just a little bit. Save your speakers. Save your amp.
I tell people that all the time. Like, I mean, I think when I get in people's rides, they're trying to hurt me. So they'll clip the hell out of it. Like, all their clip lights will be on and everything. I'm like, bro, like, I appreciate it. Don't blow your stuff up trying to like impress me. Like I appreciate the demo. And a lot of people, I think probably one of my most frequently asked questions is, what do you think of my system? Or like a lot of people are looking for external approval of their systems. And in my opinion, don't do this, because you should be building your system for you and for you to enjoy it. If somebody else happens to enjoy it as well, that's great. But if not, screw it, man. Like, it's your system. Like, if you want to run 4 Funky Pump 8s under the back seat of your truck and a Powell amp, that's great, man. If it makes you happy, that's amazing. Like, don't let somebody else judge your system and you change it because somebody else thinks you need to or whatever. Just make yourself happy with your system. I mean, that's what I do. I build my Tahoe for me. I mean, let me fix that. I don't build it like I have it built for me and what I like.
They're going to get you now. They're cutting that clip out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be all over the internet.
He said he built his Tahoe. I told him he said he built it. He's horrible. But yeah, just build it for or have it built for you or to your liking or whatever. That's the most important thing. So I just asked, how much do I bench? Man, I'm not into lifting heavy anymore. I'm just trying to be healthier. So I don't lift anything. I don't even bench. Like, I just have some dumbbells at the house and I just do a little morning workout, and it's just more of going through a routine and just trying to stay a little healthy. I'm over the trying to be big macho dude. Like, I just want to be healthier. So cool. I don't, to answer your question, probably 100 pounds if I had to guess. I don't know. I have no idea.
So Dean is here from 5 Star Car Stereo down in Florida, and his question, I think we'll just pretty much wrap it up with this one. He says, "What is your favorite movie?" It has nothing to do with car audio, but
favorite movie.
Is it Boiler Room or
Wolf of Wall Street?
Wall Street?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, obviously, like and people they pour that out all the time. Like JP's like all about money. Like he's like all he talks about is money. Like whatever it may be. I think people are programmed like not to talk about it, and I think obviously this is my 2 cent Mississippi redneck opinion. Like so it's not even worth 2 cents. It's maybe half of that, but I think people being programmed not to talk about their finances or money hurts them more than it helps them, because they never bring out, unless they're like, oh, I'm so broke, like you hear that, but like they're not ever looking for the right guidance and becoming better financially. And the reason why I like movies like you're talking about, Boiler Room, or like these like whatever money heist things, it's because I think if you want to get better in anything in life, like you need to immerse yourself in stuff like that. If you want to be if you want to better your car audio knowledge, then you're going to watch a bunch of Big D Wiz's videos, or you're going to like whatever, you're going to get into that. So and I read tons of books. Like most people listen to music when they work out. I read books, or I listen to like audio books. So as far as a movie, I did really like the Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know, like nothing really popped to the top of my head. Oh, this is my favorite movie of all time. I don't watch a lot of TV. Like if I had to guess, like maybe once a month, if I walk into the house or whatever and Jess happens to be watching something, but it's more of a spending time with her thing than like I could really care less what's on the TV. Like I don't know, my mindset's a little different than like I think a lot of people waste so much time on watching TV, and they can be at least watching, if they're watching something that's improving themselves, that's one thing, but so many people are just watching mindless things that are just costing so much of their time that they could be bettering themselves in some way or another. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, good deal, man. We have definitely gone a couple 2.5 hours here with you, and we've gone through a lot. We do once again appreciate your time tonight, and wow, it's a great episode. We're going to have a lot of, I think, smaller clips of this one. We're going to be able to pull out different things you're talking about the industry, different things about bettering yourself. We'll link to some of your old videos too, where the ones where you've talked about how to get sponsored. We'll link to the one where you talk about how Down4Sound was created and all that, because all that stuff is just really good information. And obviously we'll link to Down4Soundshop.com. Make sure people can go there and check out these new amplifiers and everything else you guys have. You just have a full range of products, have all kind of pretty much anything you need for your system they have there. So make sure you check them out. And again, JP, look forward to seeing you at the Sundown show here in a few weeks.
Yeah,
Rob
absolutely.
and I will be there, so we'll hang out, check out with you, hang out, and anybody else who's there, come shake our hands and say hello. Be glad to see you all.
Well, you should have your booth next to mine, or come. Like, are you gonna have a booth, or are you just gonna be hanging out?
No booth. I'll just be there, big dummy self.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I would like. So what I'm gonna try to put together is having like most of us like in the same, like especially like most of my affiliates or whatever. It make the most sense to have them mostly around the Down4Sound booth, and people want to come by and meet you and get your autograph too, and all that good stuff. So I mean, might as well like have everybody in the same happy family. It would make
we'll definitely carve some time out to be there. We want to make it around and check out some of the show and some of the demos too. But yeah, we'll definitely be there
for sure,
hanging out. So again, thank you again for your time. This has been an awesome episode. All the comments here show that people appreciate you taking your time out and joining us. And hey man, we just look forward to things that are out now and things that are forthcoming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I appreciate y'all having me on as well.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you joining.
Yeah, we'll get you back in in a year or so once things have changed and you've added more amps and everything's exploded even more. So just keep us in sight and keep reaching for the stars and keep doing good stuff, man. We appreciate what you do for the community.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all too. Thank you for being a part of the Down4Sound affiliates program. Like, it's people like you that I don't think I try to tell people I appreciate them as much as I can, but I really appreciate you guys. Like, I understand the amount of value that y'all bring to the table, so don't think that that's going unnoticed. I really appreciate that. I know I have my decent size following or whatever, but everybody has their people that enjoy them more than other people. So I don't take that for granted, and I'm very grateful for everything that y'all are doing and bringing to the community. And obviously, if y'all are bringing people through to purchase stuff from Down4Sound through your affiliate links, it's a win-win for both of us. So I really appreciate that relationship.
Absolutely. Good deal, man. Good conversation. Hope you guys have a great night. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Watch Reverse Polarity tomorrow, 7:30.
See ya.